Evening, folks. Welcome again to Parapole. We're just waiting on the numbers going up a wee bit. Sarah can see the numbers, but I can't. But whoever's here so far, I'm glad you're here. So we're just waiting on other shrimp. Evening, shrimp. Hope you're well. And Dobie's socks here as well. Hi, Dobie. Hope you're well. So we're just waiting on the number. The numbers going up. I'm not going to be talking so much tonight because I've been told off for it by Sarah. I yak too much. So I'll still be talking, don't worry, I'm not going to go silent and just stare at the camera all night. I'll still be putting my bit in, as they say. I've been told just to calm it down, just a smidgen. Isn't that right, Sarah?
No, you can talk if you want.
Oh, you said I talk too much. What do you think, Dobie? Oh, I've got a stray fly in here. What do you think, Dobie and Trump? Do you think I talk too much? Be honest now. We're all friends here. We can be honest. I hope you're watching the numbers, because I can't see anything apart from yourself.
Can you see the chat?
2 seconds. Yep, I can see the chat. I need to remember to press the right button this time. Last time I kept pressing the back button, and it kicked me out of the chat about 2 or 3 different times, which was a bit inconvenient. So tonight I'll remember to press the correct button.
Or just keep the chat up and then you'll know it's the click button.
I know, but then you're just staring like a grey screen with, you know what I mean? Not that I like to see myself. It's not that. Shrimp Shack saying hello again. Hope we're all doing well. Hope we're all having a good day. Now Sarah's disappeared.
No, I just put you in big screen since you said you like to see yourself.
Alright. See what I need probably, folks? On a daily basis, 24/7, there's no escape. There's no escape from it. Well, we might as well start, Sarah. What do you think?
No, get a couple of minutes.
So what have you been up to today, Dobie and Shrimp? How's the weather and that beside yours? Yours has been a bit wet today, to say the least. But I think Dunn's actually decided to come out. As you can see, Sarah's got the cats again. I've escaped them. I'm in the bedroom with the door shut, so there's no access to me in the bedroom, which is a good thing. Saves me getting up and down and throwing them out all the time. I wish the rain would clear off as well. We've seriously need to get out in our garden just after lockdown started. We became gardening nuts, and we done up our garden. But so we've been trying to keep on top of it. But the last few days, the rain's appeared and the weeds have appeared. There's Frankie P in as well. Evening, Frankie. Hope you're doing well. Pouring with rain. I think it's the same everywhere, Dobie. I think everybody's been just having rain. But Friday is meant to be like 22 or 23 degrees, so the shorts might come out of retirement for a day.
26.
Waiting. 26 degrees, I sit corrected. My rain stopped in Dublin. Well, I know near here is a place called Paisley, and we were watching the Facebook earlier on, and it was flooded. I think it was up to some parts of Paisley, it was up to people's waists. So luckily we've avoided that so far. We might as well get started. This week, folks, on Parrot pole we're going to be talking about, it's a dark piece of English, well, British history, but it happened down in England back in 1612. It's the Pendle Hill Witches, probably one of the most famous witch trials in British history. Just alongside, that of Matthew Hopkins. The Pendle witch trials happened in 1612, and in total there was 12 people accused of witchcraft. One of them, they were all arrested and put in prison. One of them, Elizabeth Demdike, she was elderly, frail. She passed away in prison. But the remaining 11 stood trial. There was mostly women. There was 2 men accused. Out of the 11, 10 were found guilty and 1 was found not guilty. So the 10 that were found guilty were taken to the moors just above the village, and they were all executed there. Not a very nice time to live in. I think we're now here. You see, this is a picture of Alice Nutter. Alice Nutter was different from the rest of the witches. Alice Nutter actually came from a good background, a rich family, and it was a young girl, a 9-year-old girl, that accused her of causing the death of a gentleman. And so she was arrested. Alice protested her innocence to the very end, but on the testimony of this young girl, Alice was found guilty and she was executed. Now, Alice is actually buried, well, it's rumoured that she's buried in St Mary's Church in a village called Newchurch, but nobody's exactly sure. What the story goes that because her family had money, they came and took the body and buried her in secret. But as I say, nobody's actually certain of whether this is true or not. That's the churchyard where she's said to be buried. The rest of those that were buried weren't so fortunate in life. Most of them were posing as witches because it was quite profitable back in these days to pose as a witch and to make money from it, through healing, etc. And there was 2 main families, the Demdikes and the Chattocks family, and the accusations mostly started, the 2 families started accusing each other of being witches, and this was a way they thought to cut down the competition, basically, to sort of take one family out of the equation so the other family would profit more. However, it didn't work out like that because members from both families were tried and executed. Now, as I say, Elizabeth Demdike, she was seen as the kind of ringleader, I think because of her age, and she had that kind of old hag appearance sort of thing. She was seen as the sort of top witch, basically. But you see, that's a picture of that drawing of them getting executed on the moors just above the village. But back in those days, it was mostly women that were accused of witchcraft rather than men. And the reason behind this was because women at the time were seen to be weaker and more lustful. So in the eyes of the authorities, etc., women were more open to the seduction of the devil, basically. So this is why you always find in history there's more women accused of witchcraft than there is men. There's been a lot of men, but it tends to sway towards women simply because they were considered weaker and, they were more open to being seduced. But unfortunately, back then, as soon as the finger was pointed at you of being a witch, you were basically condemned, whether you were innocent or not. Simply because after you were arrested, you were put to the test, you were put to the torture. The various means of torturing. One way was they were looking for what they called the devil's teat, And what that meant was that you'd be taken somewhere, stripped naked, and you would be examined for any unusual marks, scratches, anything on your body. That is Pendle Hill itself. It's quite a foreboding sight, quite an eerie sight where you pass it, especially at night time. It kind of stands out from the rest of the landscape, as you can see. And I think because it's his reputation and it's so famous, everybody that passes it, it catches your eye, you know. But as I was saying, the Devil's Teat, you were stripped naked and you were examined for any unusual markings on your body. This was considered that this is where the devil had touched you. And so, well, we all know people are born with birthmarks every day. But back then, also, if you were born with a birthmark, which was a total natural thing, this was seen as you've been touched by the devil. You were marked, and so you were done for. Another way they had was ducking in the river. That is, I think it's Lancaster Castle, where all the accused were imprisoned. This is where they were held until their trial. As I was saying, ducking, there was two ways of doing it. One was you were either tied into a chair, and which was supported at the end of a long wooden beam, and you were dunked into the river for a certain amount of time. Then you were brought out, and you were dunked again. This process went on. You were dunked several times. Each time, you being underwater was longer, and it was considered that if you drowned, then you were innocent and you were given a Christian burial. If you didn't drown, people thought the devil had saved you, so you were then either burned at the stake or hanged. The other way they used to do it was just bind your hands and feet, tie a rope around your waist, and just throw you in the river and see if you floated. If you floated, you were condemned. If you drowned, again, you were innocent. So either way, you were dead either way. You know, you didn't have any hope of escape, even if you were truly innocent. Other ways used to was on the rack, sleep deprivation, starvation. They were made to stand for hours upon hours on end, and also the testimony of others. Now this was a bad, I'd say a bad way, but the testimony of others carried quite a lot of weight back then. Obviously, way back then, people were naive and witchcraft was a new thing, and everybody was terrified of it. So if you had a wee grudge against a neighbour, all you had to do was turn up at the court and say, you know, yes, I saw her in the moonlight, you know, whatever, dancing around trees, and basically you were believed. This is what happened in the case of Alice Nutter. It was actually, as I say, it was a 9-year-old girl who had an issue. You know, she didn't like a lot of people, and she decided that to take her revenge out on Alice, actually, and she accused Alice. And this wee girl was believed. And during the trial, Alice protested her innocence, shouting and screaming. She was removed from the court. As soon as she was removed, this wee girl jumped up on a table and started telling people everything that Alice had done. Now, the ironic thing about this is 20 years later, the same little girl was tried for witchcraft as well. She has supposedly put a curse on a peddler. Now, the peddler became afflicted, but going by the written descriptions of the time, it would seem now, in modern medical terms, that he actually had a stroke and he died of the stroke. But however, obviously back then, people just saw this as being afflicted by the devil. And so it's quite ironic that the same wee girl who had accused Alice and sent an innocent woman to the gallows, basically, 20 years later, found herself in the same situation for putting a curse on a man who just coincidentally died of a stroke. So I'm not sure of the time lapse between the curse and the death, but you know, not long after it. I believe that's York Castle I might have these castles mixed up, so if I do, then I apologise. That was York Castle. One of the 11 accused was taken to York Castle and tried there, and ultimately found guilty and hanged. And so that was it for them. But witchcraft, they certainly. We've often wondered what happened to the witches' bodies. You know, after I've researched it, and I can't find anything as to where they were buried. But I do know that one way of burying the two ways basically of burying a witch back then. One was face down. This was seen as a punishment in death, to bury them face down. The other one was to, instead of digging a normal grave, they would dig a hole basically straight down, and the witch would be put in head first. This was the case for a Meg Shelton. She wasn't burned at stake or anything. She was, unfortunately, she was accused of witchcraft, but I'm not sure how the story goes, but she was actually crushed to death by a barrel, and she was buried in the churchyard. But people discovered after she'd been buried that the grave had been disturbed, and so they thought that Meg was actually trying to dig her way back out. So they dug her up and redug a hole straight down and put her in head first, filled it in with earth, and put a heavy boulder on it. And that stone still sits there to this day. You can still see the stone. There's a wee plaque beside it telling you exactly who's buried there. The reason they buried her head first was simply to make sure she wouldn't try and dig herself out again. So, I mean, witchcraft back then was quite rife, as in the case of Matthew Hopkins, the witch trials, and it has been compared to Salem as well. The Salem witch hunts. I'm just going to have a wee look at the comments. That's right, Frankie P. Men were seen as higher than women. It's all women, women's lib thing. Unfortunately, that went on for many, many centuries. And there are still some cultures to this day that still practice that. Women are think the word is subordinate or something to men, and women know their place and to keep their place. I think that last bit, that's the stone there I'm talking about. That's where Meg Shelton's buried, upside down. And see that you can see the boulder, which is supposed to keep her in place, basically. So it was considered the Dark Ages, and there's a lot of superstition, and witchcraft seemed to be a good way to make money. Anybody could say that they were a healer, and they would be believed. The same as last week we were saying about mediums, and how it was easy for anybody to say they were a medium. Well, back then in the 16th, 17th century, all around about that era, it was easy for people to say, I'm a healer and I can heal you with herbs or spells or whatever. Unfortunately, it backfired on a lot of people, and they were tried as witches. So it was good in the way that somebody can make money, possibly. The other good way, as I said in the case of Alice Nutter, if you bore a grudge against somebody, then all you had to do back then was point the finger and say they're a witch, and that was your problem solved, because that person was basically done for. I think very, very few occasions people were found to be innocent. It didn't matter what you did, who you were. And the other problem back then was there was a lot of magistrates, judges, who were out to impress the king, basically, to increase their status with the authorities or the king. And so they had the peace of mind. A bit like Matthew Hopkins, the more witches they caught and executed, the higher up they would get. More position, more money, more lands. And so they used that to their advantage. They used that, and so it's impossible to tell how many innocent people met their end at the stake or on the gallows. Hi there, Age of Darkness, glad you're here. I hope the midges aren't bothering you too much. So it wasn't a very good time to be about. There was a lot of witches were just natural healers using herbs for medicine. That's true, Dobie. They were natural healers, and as we understand them today. But as you know yourself, back then they were seen as witches, basically. Obviously, spiritualism, etc., hadn't came about then, and it was, as Frankie says, the Dark Ages. So if you could heal somebody, and even in the case of that little girl, all the years later, people would, that man who had the stroke, that was just coincidence, but also back then they didn't know what strokes were, heart attacks, all that kind of stuff. And so if you fell ill, it could even be a common cold. It could be considered as somebody's put a curse on you, a spell on you, and if you'd had a grudge with somebody, so it was them, they put a spell on me, and that's basically all you had to do. And it was it's a time I think people would like to sort of try and wipe out for history. Frankie's saying that's why the Druze were eradicated. Exactly, people didn't understand. People just saw them as saint worshippers, and anything to do with that was just wiped out through just sheer fear and misunderstanding. A few witches get burned or drowned. They did. That's what I was saying. Age of Darkness, they were burned at the stake, or one of the tests for being a witch was actually dunking. When they'd be thrown in the river or tied to a chair and put in the river. So many of them did. Innocent people were drowned. But they were given Christian burial, which doesn't make up for the fact they were just basically murdered. That was it, just murdered. Some for the greed of a judge, or some just to settle a grudge with somebody. There's Luna in. Hi, Luna. Hope you're well. If anybody wants to join in the chat, Sarah can pop the link up, and you can feel free to pop in. It's not a subject I know a lot about. I will be honest with you. Witchcraft, witches, and that. So I'll be totally open with you. Any comments, any help is very much appreciated. The reason we're doing Pendle Hill is, one, I've always been fascinated with it. I've watched a couple of ghost shows and I went to Pendle Hill, and they've got really good stuff. So that was one reason I decided to do it. It's always kind of fascinated me. But somebody, I believe it was it Dobie? I don't know, I might be wrong, Dobie. It might not be. Somebody last week put in a comment about Pendle Hill. So that's why we decided to do Pendle Hill. We're going to do, as I said last week, we're going to be doing a different subject every week. And if you've got any ideas, anything you'd like to see us cover, then by all means drop us a comment and let us know, and we'll have a look into it and we'll cover it. So we'll do paranormal and history. We'll mix up a wee bit. Some weeks we'll just throw in a random topic, might not be anything to do with paranormal history. We'll try and make it a wee bit fun as well, so just mix it up. It was Dobby Saltwood. I thought it was you, Dobby. I wasn't 100. I was like 80% sure it was you. So I'm glad that I got that right. I didn't get you mixed up. You know a lot more than me. You have opened my eyes to the history. Well, thanks very much, Dobby. I will admit I've done a wee bit of digging about and what have you. I knew some of the stuff, but I had to dig about for the rest of it. The problem with Pendle Hill was it became folklore, and it became folklore, and I think with anything like that, Frankie, that's where stories are born from, and it's the same today, as in kind of gossip. Somebody will say something, and then as the tale gets passed on, a wee bit more gets added on to it and added on, and over the last few hundred years, there's been quite a lot. There's Now It's Dark. Hi there, Now It's Dark. Welcome. Hope you're well. So, as I say, same as gossip. Wee bits and pieces get added on, and they keep going and going. And so a lot of stories have came from Pendle Hill. So I've seen a few documentaries on it, and I'd love to go there myself and do it. We're thinking when we head down south. Drew, we're talking the other night. Hey, citizen, hope you're good. We're heading down south in the near future, and we were talking to Dobie, and Drew's Paranormal's coming with us, and we're going to stop off at Pendle Hill, and maybe do a wee live, etc. So we're looking forward to that. Hey, Oracle, how are you? Hope you're well. It's good to see everybody here tonight, or this afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Just looking at some of the comments. We see if anybody wants to pop in. I don't know if Sarah's disappeared somewhere. I don't know where she went. But feel free to pop in. As I say, I don't know a lot about witchcraft. It's really not my kind of field. So any comments, opinions, or any experiences you might have had, if you've been to Pendle Hill, then we'd love to hear about it exactly, what it's like, the atmosphere. If anything happened to you, or you picked up on anything, anybody's experienced in anything.
I was waving away. I was waving away there. I didn't think you would add me as quick.
No, I had to
Chris is here. Evening, Chris.
The
How are you?
All fine.
Try to break into a bag of
Oh god, I didn't think you should let me in so quick. I was like, oh, it's taking a wee while, I'll just make stupid faces.
No, I had to go, like I said, I had the cats up in the kitchen worktop, and I could hear them, and I'm like, what are they doing? The big cat had jumped up and took the carrier bag of biscuits, and she was dragging it around to try to open it. So I thought, I'm going to have to go and give these 2 biscuits, or I'll never get bloody peace.
At least we didn't catch you picking your nose or something. That would have been quite unflattering.
I'm just at the bath. I had a nice shave, and I thought, I'll pop on. I can't play my Xbox tonight. I'm not playing it anymore.
Yeah, you're looking quite shiny. If you've done good polish.
I like a nice shave.
Moisturiser. You've got a moisturiser there.
Could you tell I do moisturiser?
Oh.
Look, I've got to keep handsome for my hosts, Well,
I'm the exact same. That's why I always make sure my hair's done, shave's done, and that.
Do you shave your head? Does your hair grow back? Because mine does grow back, and I have to shave it every now and again.
Oh, mine grows back with a vengeance. I'm like 2 days, and it's doing my ears. I mean, no, I shave it about once a week. I usually go to the barbers and get the open blade, but also because of what's been going on, all the barbers have been shut, so I'm dying to get back to the barber. I've got a. Oh no, I tried it once with the blade, never again. It's not an experience. Staying your face is alright. Staying up there is the problem. It's
you can't really see behind. You're like, oh shit, you're like that. You can't see in one false move.
You miss bits, and then you get shopping. You don't realise that you've got just this like one clump of hair still sitting there and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I tend to leave that to the professionals. I'll take the shaver and I'm done. The open blade, that's down to professionals. You know what I mean? But no, my hair does grow in. So what do you think of the Pendle Witches? What's your thoughts? I
actually watched a programme the other night there, but it wasn't about Pendle Witches. It was about seeing Salem in America, and it was really interesting. It was like, see if you didn't get on with your neighbours and the elders fancied you, and you didn't go with them, they would burn you at the stake. They would accuse you of being a witch and burn you at the stake.
Well, that's what I was saying. It was a good way to get rid of somebody you didn't like.
I know. It's Pendle. I don't know that much about Pendle Hill.
There's citizens Sorry, Chris. That was just a comment for Citizen Z. Ed. I found out more info from Greyfriars. That's great, Citizen. If you pass it on, just drop us a wee mail. I have now got you on Messenger, so you can pop it in there if you like, or whatever suits you. But that's great. Thank you. But you were saying, Chris,
I did have an idea, but I don't know if it would work or no. How big is Mackenzie's tomb inside?
Nobody
downstairs.
Really
you mean underneath the floor?
Aye.
Underneath the floor. You know what I mean?
Ken, there's a staircase goes down, obviously, right?
I don't.
How big is it?
I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think there's room to kind of stand up. If you know what I mean.
I've got something that could probably go in there, and it's got a camera, a drone, a baby drone.
I was actually,
but it'd be risky.
I said that the other day to do. You should get a drone.
Aye, I've got it's my brother's got one, and it's a wee mini drone. I kid you not. It's small. It's about the size of the palm of your hand, right? It all folds up because it's about like 500 quid's worth. Like, it's like total state of the art. Connected, you get a remote with it and goggles, but you also get connected to your phone. And it's got lights on it. You could take it in. But then if you lost it, that would be like, yeah, but
I was looking at comments. This Carol X. Just for those that have just joined us, welcome. We're talking about the Pendle Hill witches tonight, the witch trials, and some of it. Any comments, any views, opinions on it? If you've been there, even better. If you had any experiences, do you think they were guilty, innocent? Whatever your views are on it, then pop it into a comment, or if you want to come into the chat, you're more than welcome. Sarah can put the link on it. I forgot what the word was there. Put the link into the chat, and you can join us. You're more than welcome to come in. So you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey, Citizen. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Well, what I found out, this is actually from a guide. When the homeless guy broke into Mackenzie's tomb?
In 98,
Yeah, he actually went down the stairs and he started hitting the coffin. I don't know the reason why he can't open it in the first place, but while he was doing that, the floorboards from there was actually really weak. So he fell down. He fell down again another level. So there's two levels to this, and he fell into a plague pit. And that's when he was meant to see this dark shadow. I don't know how he managed to climb back out and get back out again, but he managed to get back out of there.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think we said when we'd done our wee bit from Greyfriars last Friday, there is two levels. The first level is the coffins, and down below is just a mass of bodies. I think the majority is plague victims. They were just dumped in there without any sort of Christian burial or anything. But I know he did.
That's what type of thing, because what people is fear, and you've got to remember that all the fear for that prison, but they didn't come out what's happening, so they had quite a lot of fear from that prison. And then for him going through the floorboards, it's kind of released whatever it was. And then when the teenagers went in there and decapitated a corpse. No, this wasn't Mackenzie's corpse they actually decapitated. It was an unknown person. So they only call it Mackenzie's poltergeist because it happened in Mackenzie's tomb. So nobody really knows what the poltergeist is or who it is.
What is a poltergeist? A poltergeist is meant to be like a noisy spirit, and it's the German name for a noisy spirit.
A noisy ghost. That's German, definitely. There's Frankie P saying, sorry, Chris.
That's all right. Reading myself.
I've seen a documentary on Mackenzie's tomb. We can stand up in the tomb. But that's good to know, Frankie, because we are planning on going back again and digging deeper. Excuse the pun. Not digging deeper, but you know what I mean. So any bits of info are very much appreciated. I think it was called the Mackenzie tomb because the Mackenzie poltergeist because the UK citizen. It was the Mackenzie tomb, but when we were there, 2 weeks ago at night time, I picked up a male spirit just in front of the tomb, and I told Sarah it wasn't Mackenzie. It wasn't him that I picked up on. So
victims, it's actually.
Aye, that's what I'm
could be.
thinking. It could be all the plague victims, and it might just. That's what I was thinking. I mean, like, all the energies, you think about all the millions of energies that are in there, right? And the ones that haven't crossed, right? If they've been buried, like Citizen says, well, they've not really been buried, they've just been thrown into a pit with some boards
That's
flung
what
over the
happened.
top
They
of
were
them,
just
right?
thrown in.
And then somebody's broke into that. It's released. That energy.
They've fallen through the floorboards as well. It's released air and energy and everything in there. And what I found out, nobody actually knows how many number of bodies in there. They're trying to say it could be between 100, 300, 500. Nobody knows because he fell in just bones.
That's it. They were just all dumped in. Well, it's the same as nobody knows for sure how many bodies are actually in Greyfriars. It's estimated to be hitting on the 500,000. You know, but that's just an estimation. In Greyfriars, there's 492 headstones, but the body count is astronomically way higher than that.
Is there any other tombs in Greyfriars? No, just Mackenzie's tomb. Is there any other tombs, like underground tombs?
The one that's meant to you get scratched in is in the prison. That's that's the Cold Black Mausoleum. But that's what you get scratched in there. But they're trying to say that's Mackenzie. But what I got told is it's got nothing to do with Mackenzie. The name on that tomb is to do with Rutherford.
And the prison. See, there is another tomb right down the back. I mentioned it the other night when we were on a live. Right down, I call it the back gate, the bottom gate, and there's a wooden door on it. I'd like to see that could go down and go down underground. I don't know. That's sealed. I'd like to try and get the endoscope camera underneath the door just to see. It could just be one level, but it could go down. So the rest of them.
I would love a look in the church. I would love a look inside it. In that church.
Well, as far as I know, it is a working church, so it's possible. Frank B, that's why Greyfriars is higher than the road. That's right, Frank. It's just Greyfriars is just basically a mountain of bodies. That's all it is, and some of them are about a foot underneath the grass that you're walking on. That's how near the surface they are. But how far they get down.
I showed that video where I caught that spirit at the graveyard, and the tour itself, the ones that did the tour, are really interested for this is that video for website and things.
I've been on the tour, and I enjoyed the tour. The tour was good with all the facts and figures they give you, but I prefer doing it. No offence to them, they do a great job and what have you. But I actually prefer doing it myself, doing the research and finding out about it myself. Obviously, the tour guides give you a lot of information, a lot of facts and figures, which is great. But I still prefer just looking at. That's what I was saying about the night. I don't know a lot about witches, so I've done a wee bit of research myself because to me it's the best way to find out anything.
That spirit behind that gravestone, that's in a certain area. So I wonder if I've caught a unsettled spirit about Birkin here when they were lifting the bodies out, because I had one of the cages over to try and stop them moving in, right next to that bit.
Well, where you caught that spirit, that photograph, that's where I picked up that male, and it was the time that we done the nighttime one at Greyfriars, and Sarah said she could feel a heat in front of her, and I picked up in a male in that, right, and within that, my words are all mixed up tonight, folks. I do apologise. It's been a long week. It's only Monday, and it's been a very long week so far. That's where I picked up in male in that general area where you caught. So it could be the same one. It might. Who knows? The Greyfriars, you just never know.
Well, I actually found something quite interesting. Actually, you'll like this. See the church. See the church in Douglas that I tell you to, the chapel. Now, you see across from it, there was a prison, right? Now, after the famous battle, there was with the Covenanters were took there. And guess where they went from there to be executed? Edinburgh.
Yeah.
They were took from that prison across for that chapel. See when you walk, see the chapel in my village, the one that's like 1,000 years old. But straight across it, next to Masonic Lodge, there's the prison. Remember, I showed you the big white building, the iron bars, right? When the famous battle was over, the last kind of big battle with the Covenanters, right? And you know how they lost. A lot of them were taken there and held. Now, obviously, the lower leveled ones were like basically executed in the village, but the higher levels, like the captains and stuff like that, they were taken to Edinburgh. And guess who executed them? Your pal.
Second to come back up again.
Your pal that's in the tomb. Yes.
You see, well, he was the Lord Advocate at the time, and he was commissioned by Charles II just to basically, I mean, the king just basically said to him in our terms, look, just get rid of them, deal with them.
Yep.
I want them gone. And
I'll take some photocopies of that book that I've got and send them to Sarah, and she can look at it. But it's I think the ones that were involved in killing the soldiers in that chapel, you know how I told you the story about the soldiers that were killed. It was English soldiers. They went in and they slaughtered them, every one of them. And that was the Scottish that did that. But seemingly they were rounded up and they were took to Edinburgh, where they were drawn in quarters or whatever the execution was, and then they were buried in Greyfriars.
Some of the stories as well that some of the prisoners was actually decapitated and their heads were actually put on the thing.
I heard that too. That's really interesting. And it was what was that for? It was trying to tell folk, well, look what happens to you if you break the rules.
But isn't that the same way was it Vladimir used to do as well? To scare away people trying to...
What, Vlad the Impaler?
Yeah.
He would impale them through the bottom end up, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Slowly, so you would suffer first.
So you just sank onto it. You weren't sort of pushed down on it. You were just you sank onto it yourself, kind of. I'm trying to not be too crude. Exactly. That's exactly it. Aye. Gravity done the rest.
Done the work.
But that's what they did to people who were beheaded. Their heads would be steeped in tar and put on spikes as a warning to anybody else. They've done it at Tower of London. Tower of London was quite famous for it as well, especially back in the Tudor times. One of Henry VIII's wives, Catherine Howard, her lover, that's what they did with him. After he was beheaded, they soaked his head in tar, and as one of the guys that helped him, and they put their heads on London Bridge, which is right next to the tower. A lot of prisoners, Tower of London, there used to be just lines of spikes, and on the bridge as well, lines of spikes, and they were just lined with heads. And I don't know whether it done the job or not, because the head count kept going up. Pardon the pun, you know.
Did they not used to drown them at the Tower of London too? I'm sure I heard something, and they had chains on, and they didn't keep doing something. The water would go over their head. I can't remember what it was. It's some kind of torture.
It was the river. They put them in the river. Do you see the river obviously goes up and down with the tide? So you would be chained to the wall just outside the tower, and basically you were just left there for the river to take care of you. A lot of gruesome ways of dispatching you back. The other one was boiling you alive. You know, that
would have been quite bad
for poisoner.
One that I heard was also getting used for the torture thing was the wheel of pain. It used to be like a cartwheel and the strap you on it, and people could go by and break your legs, break your arms, type of thing as well.
Breaking out the wheel. Breaking on the wheel. That was called. That was a popular form of execution would just break limb by limb. Sometimes a family member or a friend was allowed to deliver what they called a coup de grace.
Yep.
And they would come up and break your neck, basically. You know, a mallet, whatever they could find, just to end your suffering. So it was called a coup de grace. But that was usually done by a family member or a family friend, basically. The rest of the time your limbs was just broken.
Because I learned about all the different torture equipment they used to use, even on the witch period as well. Like the chair with the spikes in it, they used to sit somebody on it and sit them into spikes. But they wouldn't.
That's what Blood and Villa done, didn't it? It was it's the gravity, slowly.
Holes and everything.
Well, the witches certainly got, you know, they got a raw deal. Even if, as I say, even if you were innocent, as soon as the finger was pointed to you, you were basically done for.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely were you found innocent, especially with the Duncan test, you know, the water test. If you throw
yeah, didn't they get that? If you float, you're not a witch.
That was
what was that story?
I says one of the witch ones where you used to go in the water either in a chair or something else, and if you floated, you weren't a witch. You had no chance to find it. The only way you were going to float.
I know. Exactly. If you floated, you were saved by the devil, so you were burned. If you drowned, you were given a Christian burial, and you know that was it. Either way, you were a goner. So you didn't really. There wasn't really a good option C in that scenario. Basically,
you never had an option. You either just say you're a witch, you're done with it, because either use knuckle crunchers or everything. It's the only way you could do is confess and get burnt and be done with it.
That's right, because there'd be no way out it. As soon as you were caught, that'd be you'd be screwed. You would just say, "Oh, well, bugger it. I'll give you a curse. Might as well. I'm not a witch, but I might as well do it anyway, just to scare you." So, yeah, I mean, you might as well do that.
The first torture, they're going to say you're a witch because you managed to survive it, so they're still going to put you in something else.
The other common form of getting a confession was a red hot poker inserted in certain cavities as well. Whether you were male or female, didn't matter, you know. That was another form of getting a confession out of you.
Well, there was a remember about that, and I think you investigated one of the streets. I can't remember the person that was doing it, but he was having problems with exes, and he used to tell that his exes were witches so he could get rid of them.
That's you better. That's one way of getting rid of your ex, anyway. Isn't it? Well, she's a witch. A guy comes the next day and takes her away. You know.
It was used by a lot of people. As I say, I don't know if you were in when I said it was used back then to get rid of a rival, or these judges and advocates that wanted to climb in the status in the eyes of the king. The more witches, as in Matthew Hopkins, the more witches you get rid of, the more their reputation grew, and the better chance they had of catching the king's eye to say, "Oh, you know, he's good at what he does, and we'll you know, give him a wee promotion, more land or power or whatever." So these people that were accused of witchcraft a lot of them were used just to improve somebody's lifestyle, reputation.
Yep, exactly. What I was going to say to you is that it was Catholic Church used to have a lot to do with a lot of it. I mean, you remember when they had the Templars, right? See that castle you're going to on Thursday? That had ties to the Templars, right? They fled there. They fled to that castle when they were getting hunted down, because a lot of people don't realise that's what Friday the 13th is. It's for the Templars. Did you know that?
Aye, that's when the Pope
murdered a lot of them.
Secret orders for them all to be executed, and the day that he picked was
Friday the 13th.
I was telling Sarah about that the other week. That's where we get Friday the 13th from, because that's the date that Pope Clementine or Constantine or something.
Aye, and a lot of the Templars were executed in the same manner. They were the spike, gravity. They were boiled alive. They were tarred. And I think that's where a lot of that came from. if you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, that castle you're going to has got ties to the Templars. That's its. It was that castle in Roslin, obviously, has ties with it. And no one knows what the Holy Grail is. I mean, really, I wish I can, but I don't. But
everybody thinks it's a cup, but as you say, it could.
I don't think it's a cup. I think it's something else.
I think that's the general.
I think it's a bloodline. To be honest with you,
that was Dobie saying that it beats Henry VIII. It certainly does. I mean, Henry VIII was quite a brutal king, but I'm a big fan of Henry VIII, the Tudor period, and I think Henry VIII, he was about one of the greatest monarchs this country's seen. That's just my opinion. As I always say when I talk, it's just my opinion for what he done for the country. He had his bad side, he executed two of his wives and thousands put to death. But it's a kind of, I think it's 50-50 with Henry VIII. I think he certainly made his mark on English and British history. Sorry, Luna Pendle witches was in competition with other families of witches. From what I read, no, you're bang on, Luna. It was competition, and as I said earlier on, they started accusing each other, which kind of backfired on them because members from both families were arrested and tried and executed. But it was seen there was competition between them, and it kind of backfired on both families. So you're spot on there, Luna. Luna, if you want to join in the chat, I know you're quite knowledgeable on this subject, and I think the link's already in there. Sarah keeps disappearing. I don't know where she goes to.
See, I didn't understand the whole thing about the witches anyway. They weren't doing anything bad. All they were doing is trying to make medicine.
Aye. I mean, I can understand nowadays when you do have like Satan worshippers, but they didn't really have that in the days, did they? You didn't really have the Satan worshippers in the days, because if you to go down that route even slightly, you were burnt at the stake. You know. I mean, see the Church of Satan. No, when you go, man. When you go finish. No, when you go finish?
No, I think, as you say, they didn't really have Satan worshippers back then, but I think they did, but just in a different way as to what we know Satan worshippers today. Everybody's got the image of they all wear big, long black cloaks around the pentagram, the candles, that kind of stuff. I'm not an expert on it by any means. I'm just going by what I've seen in documentaries and stuff. But I think they did have Satan worship, but it was done. It was different back then. In a way, Luna say we're about healing others, begging and extortion. Luna's bang on with what she says as well. Healing others, begging and extortion. That's what it was basically all about, So Luna's up in her knowledge. You see. I knew there was a reason I liked Luna. I knew there was a reason.
Luna's great. Luna is great. I'm having her on my channel tomorrow night. So you're welcome to come on tomorrow night if you want to the witching hour. The two E's, Sarah. The two E's if you want.
Thank you.
You can come in.
Healing using herbs, spices, and different natural things. Yeah. As I say, Luna, I'm not a big expert on the witches. When I was younger, the witches to me was somebody with a pointy nose and a hat and sat in a broomstick. That was the image I had when I was a kid, I'm afraid. Sorry,
What's the film? The Hocus Pocus? You ever seen the film Hocus Pocus?
Aye, Bette Midler and...
That's an amazing film.
Bette Midler and...
that's a good film.
I've got them up here, the other two. So if anybody knows the other two stars, then let me know.
What's her name? She's out of that series that used to be filmed in New York City. I can't remember her name.
She was married to Matthew Broderick. Sarah Jessica Parker. Pardon me.
I watched that film the other night. It was on. It's a good
Lunar
film.
seemed to get a bad rap on things and was looked on as being sorcerer. They were Lunar, they were healers, but back
Sarah
then,
Jessica Parker and Kathy Namaji.
I was just going to say that was
Aye.
Kathy something.
What's her name now? The woman was it not that series the Tale of Something in the City? What was it? I used to see it. That's it. She played in that. She was in that. She was one of the witches, the youngin, the blonde one.
Sarah Jessica Parker. She was married to Matthew Broderick, as far as I know. Luna and Oracle might be able to tell you better. They're from that side of the world. They might be able to tell you better exactly, but I'm sure that's who it is.
Miami. One bottle. Just one bottle. I'll be back, guys. I've just been told to just need one bottle.
We
So
thought we'd
Scott,
steal her in her room.
so Scott, do you fancy doing a Halloween live in Greyfriars?
I do. I think I've been thinking about that since you mentioned it earlier on. I think that'd be a good idea, and I think it'd be also be good to invite people along.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially that being Halloween.
Yep. Pair up, different pairs go different places.
The only downside to that being if you make it public knowledge, you might get every nutter in the place out. You know.
No, you just do it in your YouTube channel. You do it in the YouTube channel.
That's what I'm try and keep it confined somehow.
Confined.
Maybe.
Take some lucky subscribers. Some subscribers that stay near. Take some of them with you.
Well, we could, you know, the first a manageable number, I would say, between 10 and 15, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean,
I'm
I've
saying
got a friend that
manageable.
my friend wants to go stunting with us, and he's got a big camper van.
If they've not done it before, and citizens, you'll know what I'm talking about. If they want to come along, they're more than welcome. Yep, certainly. But if they've not done it before, I think we would need to keep the number manageable so we could keep an eye on them. You know, instead of them wandering off themselves at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning in Greyfriars and, you know, getting lost or something happened to them. If that makes sense. Would you think, citizen?
Yeah. I was going to make a funny thing. I was going to say you could lock them in one of the tombs.
You can lock me in if you want. I tell you what, I'll be a guinea pig. I'll be locked in a room.
Excuse me.
As long as I get to take my torch.
To somebody.
Hey, you can lock me in a tomb if you want. That doesn't bother me. I can be like the guinea pig of the team.
Well,
that's a good idea because I've just ordered a Mutoscopy, but it's got a gigantic torch at the end of it, so I should be able to light the whole place up as well.
Well, I built a camera stabilizer, but it takes any phone, obviously, and I've rigged up a powder pack. You should see this, by the way. I've spent a fortune on it, but I've put a special lithium battery in it, and I can keep the torch on the top and the phone running for 12 hours straight. That's live streaming for 12 hours straight.
It's an amazing setup, Chris. I'm so jealous. So jealous.
I don't know if I can reverse my camera in this.
The bed, can you stay in bed?
I had to order stuff for it today. Obviously, I'm using the phone. Obviously, I'm using my phone, right? So obviously, that's what goes in it. Can I reverse the camera? I can't really. That's it there, right? That's obviously the. See this camera? It's the staff thing. That's your phone holder, right? That's the new light. It's the new laser. It's the same one that you've got, Sarah, except it's rechargeable, right? I put that on it. See that? Where is it? That's a battery pack. You know, that battery pack is bigger. That's more power. That's the same strength as 4 laptop batteries, but small. It's got it can run constantly. See this stupid camera. It says that's the torch. It's what the camera stabilizer, but I've kitted it all out to take hundreds of gear. That's the wires. once it's sort of turned on and that. But I can basically follow, say, use a boot and live stream constantly for 12 hours straight without going flat. But the battery is about a 50, 55 quid, 60 quid battery. And all the electrical stuff when it comes to about 40 or 50 quid. And then you've got the stabilizer. and then I put my 4K phone in.
Is that no some weight trying to hold it, try to go a bit with it?
It's very light. It's all carbon fibre. It's all carbon fibre. It's there. It's all. I've went and used all Ulanzi gear, so it's a Ulanzi stabilizer. Ulanzi phone holders. The phone holder does get bigger. You can turn it in any direction you want. It's a Ulanzi light. It's all like carbon fibre. I'll tell you, it weighs less than my Nikon D3300.
I know which
SLR camera.
That same stand.
That's exactly it. See that? What's camera is that? Because I've got the Nikon D3300. Is that a Nikon T? Is that the same as mine? Is that the Nikon D3400? There's camera talk for you. They're all sitting there. Is that the? It should say in the side here what kind of camera it is. It should say
Nikon D8.
D8, right?
D3100.
Uses the D3100.
Yeah.
Or mine's is the 3300, the one two up there. But you can put that on. But I've rigged this up so it's live stream device.
Okay.
Basically.
I've got an Xbox controller. There you go. You're all holding up gadgets. There's an Xbox controller for you, right? That's the best I can do, right?
Use one. Man better than that. Nah, you're competing now. You're competing. I can compete. I'm competing. There's an elite Xbox controller.
Well, I've got a blue one, right?
Well, I've got two.
I so have I've got two today, even though I'm only one person in here.
Bed.
Spare.
I'm going to jump in. I'm looking at Luna's comment about Queen Elizabeth. They made it into law that conjurations, enchantments, and witchcraft. I'm not sure what you. They say, Luna, you need to excuse my ignorance. I'm not up to.
I'll be back in a moment. I'm just going to get something.
This is meant to say against it. Oh, right. They made it was against the law to do any spells or anything against the Queen. Have I got that correct, Luna? They say, Luna, if you want to jump into the chat, see, I know you're quite knowledgeable and stuff with this kind of thing. The link's up there.
She's saying she's got a pink Xbox controller.
Yeah, it's not as good as my Elite controller. I'm drinking water tonight. I need to stop drinking fizzy pop. I've been drinking too much fizzy pop.
Luna, we can check that out for you, Luna. To see if it's still a law to this day. That's actually an interesting question.
I've got sweeties. Do you like sweeties? Parma Violets. When's the last time you've had a Parma Violet?
I love them. I do. I love them. But we'll check that one out for you, Luna, and we'll let you know if it's still law. There's a lot of old laws. I mean, they two, getting back to what I said quickly for Greyfriars, they two young boys, they broke in and stole that skull and used it as a football. They were actually charged under an old law dating back centuries. Yeah, they were, I can't, was it something defacing a corpse or something like that? I need to look it up, but they were actually charged using an old law going back a couple of 100 years. So what Luna's saying about the law that you can't use spells against the Queen or the monarch, it could, we certainly have a wee, it'd be interesting to know if that still is. Although there is in this country, as far as I'm aware, a lot of old laws that still stand. Not that I've broken any of them. I don't think I've broken any of them anyway. I hope not.
Scott, the two boys were charged under ancient legislation used to prosecute Edinburgh's notorious 18th and 19th century grave robbers. It was the first time for over 100 years that anyone had been accused of violation of something.
A corpse.
Aye. I fancy
See
a
what?
word.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye, so they were charged. So they were charged under an old law. So I dare say, that law still does, still stand. Let me say, I wonder how many laws there is against witches really that they're still. And I haven't really thought about it. To be honest,
Yeah,
I
that's
hadn't
actually
thought
quite
about that
interesting.
either.
I'm going to look that
That's
up
quite-
after.
You've
I
got us
know.
all now.
Charged with that because what they're actually doing with the head. It's not because they were playing football with it. One of the boys actually stuck his hand up into the skull and using it like a puppet.
God.
Aye, that's right. That's right. But we'll all be going Google Daft after this. We'll need to find out what laws are still kicking about for the 15th, 16th century these
I could
days.
ask my Google device, but then everybody will hear it. I've got one of the
No.
Google devices that talk to you,
Because
You're just
around the boys caused around £10,000 worth of damage.
Well,
It's just total disrespect.
The doors,
Disrespect.
the doors of the Mackenzie Mausoleum were forced, and the mummified head of a male corpse cut off with a penknife.
Oh, there's Ghost Ramblers in. Hi, Ghost Ramblers. Hope you're doing well.
I'm forgetting there's a chat.
Feel free to jump into the chat. We know that you're very interested in the witches, etc. So if you want to come into the chat and give us your expertise, knowledge on it, you'd be more than welcome. To say, I know you're quite up there with the witches and stuff as well. I'm not saying you're in with the witches. What I mean is your knowledge of the witches is quite good. I know what I'm saying, don't I? Sometimes I just dig that hole again with a big shovel.
Oh, God.
I thought I'd find a smaller shovel. You know what I mean? That's using an electric witch. So, well, feel free to jump in, Ghost Ramblers, and give us your expertise, knowledge. But just quickly get back to.
I'm banning you for life because the other night you were digging yourself a hole and all.
I've had a JCB that night.
I think I'll make Chris my new co-host, right?
That night I
take
had a
it.
JCB. I
All
can't
the
remember what I was
farmers-
talking about, but
All the farmers round about me are cutting the hay and foaming that I can't stop bloody sneezing. It's terrible. I'm
I
aware.
had a JCB that night for digging the hole I was in.
Aye.
The thing is, I kept going and going, you know what I mean? But if as Chris says earlier on about the Halloween visit to Greyfriars, let us know what you think if you'd like to see that. If you think it's a good idea inviting people along. But I say, Chris, we need to try to keep the numbers manageable.
Well, how many can your car hold?
5. Well, 6 if I sneak one into the boot.
I've not decided what I'm buying yet.
America.
I don't know if I'm buying a Skoda or I'm buying a Citroen C4 Picasso.
Just buy a
I
minibus.
haven't
Buy
decided.
a Skoda.
I don't know. I seen a nice Citroen C3. No C3. What you call it? C4 Picasso. It's a 7-seater.
Chris, the mystic psychic powers of Scott told you to buy a Skoda.
I know. I'll probably buy a Skoda. I'm still
It would be
looking.
even better for Halloween, like if people could get donations. That way we could have the whole cemetery ourselves, so they could shut the gate and even open the prisoners bit as well.
Well, it's about £220 we've thingied, and it's 20 up to 20 people, and after 20 people there's a surcharge for every other person. Every person
Isn't it
other than the 20.
£11 a head over £11 per start again. 11 pound. What I was going to say. £11 per person after the 20.
They love rules.
I love
One of
Bruce.
my-
Just got a ball boy state.
That's my co-host. That's my co-host there. You know, that's Lewis, my co-host.
Oh, is it?
Oh, is that Lewis? Hey, Lewis. Is that what he calls himself? We just know him as Lewis. We just know him as Lewis.
That's my co-host.
Click the subscribe, Lewis.
So, do you think it could be possible to hire out the prison and the graveyard, all enclosed?
I know that you can do the prison. I know that the graveyard. I don't know because the citizen will know this. The graveyard's always open. I mean, I've been to Greyfriars, I think, once, maybe twice, and the gates have been locked. Ghost Ramblers is trying to join, but it's not happening. So I think their weather must be on the downside.
I mean, that other night, Citizen, you were doing your ghosty thing, and that Tumen, they folk come in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I thought there were youngins or something that came off the street or something. I was actually worried about you.
Well, I kept my eye on their hands because I seen one of them open and closing his hand.
Aye, I seen that. I said that in the chat. I said that to a couple. I think it was Oracles. I said it to Oracles. I says, look at his horns. He's opening and shutting his horns like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself,
anyway,
that's a bit dodgy.
He'd in the corner. So I had a question saying, was that a spirit? And I went, no, it's a couple of Neds just looking around.
That's the only thing about going there at night. That's why you're better. Maybe you're sick, but caring with other folk.
That's this day and age. I mean, I'm from Glasgow, so you know I'm not be back and I know what Citizen will know as well. This day, it's a risk that you run. Doesn't matter where you go, you're going to get neds, you know. And sometimes, I used to drink in a graveyard when I was younger because it's the only place the police didn't look. You know, they would go up and down flats and that, but they never ever checked the graveyard, so it was our number one spot, you know, weekend. But we didn't go about, we used to play like hide and seek and stuff, you know, harmless stuff. We didn't go about destroying the place. But obviously times have changed since then, but it's a risk even going out to the necropolis in Glasgow. I mean, that's a beautiful big city of the dead. That's a beautiful
never
big
been.
city.
I've never been. It's meant to be quite. Is that over there's meant to be the tail of the vampire?
There's meant to be a vampire in there, and I think it's a headless man in there as well. That's right next to the Royal. I've been up there many a time when I stayed in Glasgow. But you get Neds in there as well. And it used to be every weekend, but you know, the way society is today, it's like can be any day of the week, you know.
The thing is with the younger generation now is you don't really get many Neds out now because they're all on their Xboxes, they're all playing with their phones, that's the thing. But I was actually worried for Citizen the other night, that live.
No, I was okay for my safety. I knew that because I'm an ex-bouncer, so...
But yeah, that'll come in handy.
So I was absolutely fine. But as soon as you say you're live on YouTube, you'll panic and thinking, oh, wait a minute, he's got everything anyway. So he's got all my faces and blah, blah, blah. That's what I always say to people. If anybody ever comes up to you when you're by yourself in a dark area, just say, I'm always filming the YouTube. They're not going to fix you.
That's right. What was that you were saying, Scott? You were saying something, man?
I forgot, I was just checking the chat there. Lewis, if you want to jump in, you're more than welcome. As anybody else is, just I believe the link's in there just to come in. There's Luna say they were accused of child murder and cannibalism. They were also accused of killing a horse as well.
Killing a horse?
A horse?
A horse.
That's a bit.
They were accused of. And back then, you know, you get hung for that basically as well. They used to hang you for stealing a loaf of bread, chickens, you know, the laws back then. You could get hung for basically anything.
Could they know I killed a sheep?
I know.
Oh, there you go. I knew that had to come in somewhere.
I tell you something, I was doing at that castle the other day in Douglas, and you should have seen some of the sheep down there. You ever seen the film Hannibal Lecter? These sheep are like trained.
Hey, Mandy. Lewis,
I can't hear you. Hang on.
My God, Lewis is turned into a lassie.
That's what you call hair growth, isn't it?
I can hear you now.
That's Lewis's wife. How are you?
I know, I was
I'm
kidding on.
fine.
I know. Where's Lewis? Where's he hiding?
He's here.
Hey, Lewis!
All right.
Tonight, guys, we're talking about the Pendle witches, the witch trials, etc. What do you think of? Do you think they were guilty, innocent? Do you think it was a way just to get rid of your rivals or somebody you didn't like, or what do you think?
I think basically that was what it was meant to be used for, was it not? Anyway.
I don't know what's happening, but I can hear like 4 voices all coming through at the same time.
Lag.
Was there 2 people talking at the same time? Oh.
Take your earphones off.
Your internet's faster
Now I
than
can
your
hear
internet,
myself.
that's what it is.
Oh, our internet's terrible.
Oh, you've got the video open, that's why.
Oh.
So we had the screen playing.
Lewis had the screen playing, not me. Stupid. I couldn't even understand anything else because it was like 4 voices.
You don't have to have the earphones on the video.
Oh, okay. So, sorry, can you start that again? Because I missed everything you said from when I joined.
It's good to see you, Mandy. That's what we said. Tonight we're talking about the Pendle witches.
Right, you're talking about witches.
Pendle Hill.
What's that?
Pendle Hill, Lancashire. I always say it wrong.
Right. Ah, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to turn the volume up. There you go. I can hear you now.
You can hear me.
That Coca-Cola looks lovely, Sarah, I must say. No, I'm not allowed any. Oh.
It's being good, Sarah. It's being really good.
Oh, I'm more difficult right now.
I love it. But I'm trying to be good at the minute.
Destroys your teeth.
Well, did he tell you I've got to go dentist tomorrow to have a tooth removed? I couldn't get a dentist appointment through the NHS. I've got to go private. £250.
I've got a pair of pliers.
Yeah, but I think it's infected. I think there's an abscess. So I've got to.
They don't pull them out. They don't pull them out if they've got an abscess, do they?
Well, I
They
don't
don't
know.
give you antibiotics.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Antibiotic.
Well, he said he was going to take it out unless he looks at it and thinks it's not safe.
Maybe go to drain it.
But yesterday I was doing the old whiskey thing, so I'm hoping it's kind of at a point where he can take it out and give me antibiotics. I don't know.
Is it a back tooth or a front tooth?
Back, right at the back.
So it's like a wisdom tooth then?
It's one before. You can see the wisdom tooth coming, like pushing through. But sorry, I've changed your whole subject. So, right, let's get back to it.
That's all right.
You know, if you were in the Middle Ages, I'm sure a witch could have rustled you up something that would have helped you there.
I know. Can't you, like, call on a spirit to come and do something for me?
Oh, I don't know. Not me.
There's a chart.
Who's not scared?
Who's what? Sorry.
Who's not scared to call like a spirit or a witch to come and help my tooth? It will save me 250 quid.
I think it's Andrina we need for that.
It's Andrina.
Your tooth,
Be Andrina. Or maybe Luna could help you out. Maybe Luna or Oracle could maybe do something for you in that respect. Maybe.
Where are they? Can you get them up?
Be brave. Go and get it out.
Yeah, but it's 250 quid, mate. It's a lot of money.
That is very steep. I mean, I've got a dentist and it's private. Doesn't charge that to put a tooth out.
Yeah, but see, mine is literally, I was ringing all the dentists around here. They won't see me because I'm not on the books, and they're only prioritizing patients with extreme whatevers. And I mean, I didn't sleep until 5 in the morning with extreme pain. And I kept ringing 111, ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. And then eventually she gave me a number for an out-of-office dentist who I thought was an NHS dentist. And then I rung him and he went, I'm not an NHS dentist. It's going to cost you this much. And I was like, I don't care.
Shocking.
Take it out. Take it out because I just can't be dealing with the pain. So.
Teeth are terrible, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money, isn't it? A lot of money.
Dentists
Just
and
back to the
vets
problem.
make the most money.
There's Drew Paranormal vlog
Oh.
saying she can help me. She's a witch. Feel free to jump
There you
on.
go. I've got a pair of
Going
old
through
rusty
them.
pliers in the back of my motor.
Yeah, go
Luna-
on, Drew, come and help me.
Luna saying
Means it would probably
use
cost me £250
pure-
to drive to you.
Well, that's true. The fuel
Which
cost.
places that I could go to in like in Essex, but like between now and like 9 a.m. because my appointment's at 9, so ideally in the window.
That's why I don't drink. That's why I try to cut down on the old sugary drinks now, Sarah.
I'm
You're
watching
watching.
your room. I've got to cook dinner.
All right, darling. Can you just chop up the chicken, marinate the chicken, fry the chicken, and
Marinate.
fry the chips? I
Cook it.
don't want like all this faffy sauce and stuff. Don't put too
Well,
much flavorings on the chicken. Just put like the barbecue flavor.
Alright, okay.
Because I can't, my tooth is too sore. I can't eat anything.
Luna, Mandy, Luna Eclipse is saying clove oil or there's a vanilla flavouring, put it directly onto the tooth.
You came,
Yeah.
it does work. You came,
The
it
only
does work.
problem with that is that the root is exposed on the inside. So
there's
No,
no
honestly.
my only thing I can do.
Amanda, ask Lewis for
Can you
some
hear
of
me?
his colloidal, for some of his colloidal,
Can you hear me?
colloidal silver
Yes.
Yeah,
that he's
can
got.
hear you.
Put some colloidal silver on
I'll
it.
put the earphones on.
I don't know if he's got any left, you know.
No, he has. He's got some. He told me he had some. He had a bottle of it.
He's hiding it from me.
If you put that on, it'll see. But the more it's probably the infection will probably have half cleared up.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful. It's really awful. To the point where, like,
Toothache.
oh, I was even drinking his whiskey yesterday. Like, I didn't drink it. I was gargling it and then spitting it out to try and, like, soothe the pain. It was awful. Real bad.
Teeth.
What,
I wish they could get them out.
I'm getting off the subject here, guys. So one thing I'd like to know for Luna or
Aye.
Oracle is how the Pendle Hill, which trials compared to, like, say, Salem? Which trials? You know, were they more brutal? Was Salem more brutal? Or, you know, as in comparison? Sorry, Mandy, I wasn't trying.
That's okay. That's
I was just reading some of the comments. I'd be interested to know what their thoughts are as in comparison to the UK and American witch, you know, how they differ, sort of thing.
You've muted your mic, Drew. Just saying she's trying to speak, but her
Right,
mic's muted. That's that. Right, so
Right, that's you.
there you go.
Oh no, wait. Aye.
No.
I'm eating Parma violets. I think this is great.
I love them. I've loved
I'll
them
get you a
since I was
packet.
a kid.
I'll get you the sell them in
Oh.
my garage. Well, they sell them in my village. I'll get you a packet.
Have you had the so you used to get the wee tiny, have you had the bigger ones?
But I'll get bigger ones.
Or the bigger one? We'll be doing Thursday, get me a box. I mean a packet, sorry, a packet. Sorry.
Aye, that's in there. That's the.
That's the Fairwells, yep, that's them. You can get me a packet of they bad boys.
If the garage you still got them, because I was buying them all.
Just ram
Came with
raid the
some-
garage.
Came
The
you can
garage
do with
open
them.
just now.
No,
Is the garage still open now?
no. But I'll check
Oh,
tomorrow
good
for
to
you.
get
But here's
done.
an interesting thing. Do you know people put them in gin? Did you know that?
No.
You get
I
a bottle
don't
of gin,
drink, I
clear
don't drink,
gin,
I don't drink, so I
Near-
couldn't
near
tell you,
the
I
eye.
don't know.
near the eye, and they drop them into the gin, and you get purple gin.
Right.
I
Well,
don't drink
that's
either. I'm teetotal. I don't drink.
I'll keep that in mind if I ever start drinking gin to have my Parma Violets at the ready beside me. No, I don't drink at all. I don't miss it. I used to drink, but I was never a heavy drinker, you know. I used to have what I used to call, when I stayed in my old flat, I used to have a YouTube night. I used to buy maybe 8 or 10 cans of beer and stick YouTube on my plate, just let the playlist run all night and just get drunk basically and have a wee one-man party. That was the highlight of my week. Sometimes it was great because nobody ever complained about what music you were playing.
No many people like Parma Violets. I find. Can you remember, Scott, when they used to be square, not round?
No, that's before my time.
You're older than me. I'm only 38.
I think my dad told me about them. I think he showed me some black and white photos of them. I think maybe. I don't know. I don't remember when they
I'll
were
get you a packet. I'll get you a packet. I have got Uncle Joe's mint balls there. You ever had Uncle Joe's mint balls?
No.
I'm going to save you some
There's
Uncle
two
Joe's
answers to
mint
that, really,
balls.
Chris, isn't there? So, but I'll just play the safe card and say no.
No, I have got a lot of old-fashioned sweets.
You know, that's a question I don't get asked every day. But no,
I'll give you a couple on Thursday, and you can suck away. You know.
Can you send me some, please?
I think you're needing a shovel tonight.
Yeah. Send me whatever you're offering everybody else. I'm feeling left out. Just because I'm not in Scotland doesn't mean I can't get involved.
Oh.
She doesn't want any Uncle Joe's anyway, so you know what I mean. We'll put that
Uncle
one
Joe's
to the
mint
side.
balls are good. Uncle Joe's mint balls.
Well,
are nice.
you know, live and let live, Chris. That's what I say. You're in Douglas, we're in Kilmarnock. Live and let live. I'm not judgmental in any way.
Oh.
You'll still be on my friend list. Don't worry.
Oh, somebody's using an electric shaver.
Or something else. Somebody's a vindaloo.
I think it's something else. I think somebody's done something on. I think it's in Gina's mic. It's either that or something's been turned on.
Or that coconut milk for the other night still affecting her?
No, let's keep this kind of fairly clean. Thank you very much.
Well, that's cleaner than what he said. Do you know what I mean? Come on, seriously, give me some credit.
Coconut milk. I like buying a coconut and drilling a hole in it.
I think she put in one of her curries and she had a wee bit of trouble after it, shall we say.
Well, we've lost her. Hopefully she'll be back. I accidentally kicked Citizen out by accident. Totally an accident.
That's
anyway,
terrible.
watching, we do apologise for the sudden downturn in the chat. You know, thanks to Chris, we're not usually in
just because you're jealous that I've got Parma Violets and Uncle Joe's mint balls.
I'd say yes.
Mint balls.
I'd say yes to the Parma Violets, but
that's the winner of clips.
Wow. After I turned that off, Luna. Wait a minute.
Oh, God.
After I turned that off, it's under I keep it under the pillow after I'd switched it off. Could you hear that for there, Luna?
I think I'll be sleeping in the couch tonight.
That's the Kodak batteries. They go on and on. What's Duracell in it?
I was going to say Duracell that just lasts forever, you know.
That's how my screen is.
Serious. Have you been ghost hunting since? Oh, what is it? Are you talking about ghosts today?
We're talking about witches.
Anything
witches.
Now. Oh, you're talking about
witches.
Okay. I've obviously come on late because I've been busy. But have you been on any ghost trips recently? Or
yesterday we went.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yesterday we went to a castle that's quite local to us.
Lockdown Castle, yeah. They'll tell you.
And we're thinking about doing a weekend investigation there very soon.
Do you have to get permission to go and do things at like castles or churches or things like that, or not? No.
If the castles, some places, yes. It just depends. but a lot of the places that we go to are not like owned by, like, are not privately owned, whereas a couple of places we've tried to get to have been privately owned, and it's just whether or not the owner is saying nice or not.
Well, last Friday we were back at Greyfriars, and we've got an endoscope camera, and we attempted to put it down inside. Inside the Mackenzie Tomb there's a hole, and we attempted to put the camera down to try and get a look at what's underneath. We got some footage. It's up on YouTube, I believe. Sarah's the brains behind that one. So we were there for about 3 hours. We got some images, got some photographs. We were planning getting back. The lighting was the biggest problem.
Oh, wow.
That's the castle we were at yesterday.
Wow.
Okay. That's really nice. It does have like a spooky feeling to it, though.
Well, see, Sarah, if you hold that photograph a wee second, see the bottom right-hand photographs away. That there. See at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see it's a gravel path.
Yeah.
Well, I was standing there taking a wee bit of footage, and I heard somebody walking up beside me, right close to me. But I turned round and there was nobody there. I actually thought I was in somebody's road or something, so I turned round if I have to move out of the way, and there was not a soul there. I'm a medium. I didn't pick up anybody there, but I definitely heard the gravel being, walked on or disturbed. But it's a beautiful place. And I've done a wee bit of filming. I'm getting used to the camera now, so I tend to do a wee bit more filming. But that's a bit of footage around it. But Sarah's got all the photographs and whatnot.
That's a nice picture.
Look at that view. How stunning is that?
That is lovely. That's really lovely. I asked earlier what you were talking about, and Dobby Socks put Pendle Hill Witches. I don't know what that is. Can you tell me what that means? What is it, like an area or?
Pendle Hill is an area in Lancashire. Back in 1612, there was a big witch hunt. It's the second most famous witch hunt in the UK's history, where 12 people were accused of witchcraft. I'll just briefly cover the story. 12 people were accused of witchcraft. They were arrested, locked up. One of them was an elderly woman she died while still in prison before she could stand trial. Another one was found innocent, so the remaining 10 were all found guilty and hung.
Chris, if you can hear me, PM me.
Andrew, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me, aye?
Aye, I can hear you.
Nobody answered me, so I didn't know.
You were dead quiet to start with, but we can hear you now.
Alright. I maybe need to turn this volume up on this. I just didn't know.
You can how to turn it up? Do you want me to talk you through how to do it again?
Can you try and do it for me, Chris?
I can't turn the volume up for you, but what you can do is you see the...
Yeah, got it, Chris, thank you. Got it, thank you.
No problem.
Drew's finally with us. Evening, Drew. That's what we were talking about tonight. The Pendle Hill, the 10 were executed.
Hello, Drew.
You're taking off the words tonight. Sweetie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm much prettier. Let's be fair. I had my hair cut today as well, so I'm feeling good.
Girl power.
Yes.
Girl power.
Oh, so we are.
That's terrible. There's more. I came with two old bald guys in the chat. That's terrible. I feel
wait a minute. Back up a wee bit there.
Right, I'm very sorry. One old bald guy and one young guy.
One old bald guy and one young bald guy.
I need to show you my new nails.
I'll get you a bag of Parma
on,
violets or something.
You see my nails?
Oh,
You
they
see
love
my
it.
nails? They're all
Oh, you got
skulls.
photos on them.
Skulls.
They're all
Oh,
skulls.
they look so cool.
How long did that take you?
Isn't it? Just
I
took me
must
about
say, Drew,
3.5 hours.
I must say, Drew, you're looking very mystical tonight.
Oh, we've had a good day. We've been doing it at my mum's for dinner. Had a couple of tipples. Hi, everybody in chat.
So you were saying, you were saying, Scott, about Pendle Hill. I must
Yeah,
know
I
the
was just-
story.
I think we only
I
need
was-
to take turns each to talk because we're all talking over each other again.
No, I was just saying to Mandy about the Pendle Hill witch trials and what have you. There was 10 eventually executed, but most of them
Hi,
came from
Dolga.
just two families.
Oh, that's from
They were accusing each other of witchcraft,
in case it gets broke.
Aye.
and it kind of backfired on them because the family saw it as a way of making money, and so
Everybody's talking
Aye.
that's crazy.
both families
Is it just me
decided
that
to turn each
I've
other
got
in.
half the echo?
You've got an echo coming through. Scott's just telling us about Pendle
It's as
Hill.
if everybody's talking at once.
No, it's the echo. Do you have
Right.
earphones plugged in, or do you have a mic plugged in?
I've got my earphones on and my speakers, I think. Aye.
Does Drew seem to
I'll
you
be
all feel
honest with you,
like
it's because
laggy?
I've had a couple of joints. Because I've had a couple of express rolled fags.
So, Scott, if I wanted to look this up or look into it,
And plus we had
where would
I
I
had
find
a
it?
glass of wine to celebrate my daughter 31st. Champagne.
Sorry, Mandy.
Oh,
Go.
sorry. I said, if I wanted to like look into the story behind it, where would I look?
You could just Google it. That's see, I'm not an expert on it. So I knew some of the history on it, and I googled the rest. If you just type in Pendle Hill witches,
Sarah, we're in my live stream on my channel. Sarah, we're in my live stream on my channel.
I don't think she can hear you, Drew. She looks like she's away in a wee chocolate world of her
How
own.
is that she's
but
froze?
She looks like she's frozen. Yeah.
She's froze.
No, I think she's kidding on.
She's got a smirk.
All right, she's not kidding on. But Mandy, just into Google, and there's loads of different websites
Hi,
that'll give you all the history of it. It's quite
Hi,
interesting
Golga.
because I spent most of the day
I feel as if everybody's speaking at once.
looking it
Guys,
up
do
and
you
reading
hear
it.
that?
And so that'll give you all the.
And it seems to be every night it's repeating as well. What's that all about? See all that?
Drew,
That's
have
the
you
wine.
got 2 pages open?
I've not a drink for 13 years, I'll have you know.
No, I said, have you got 2 pages open?
That's what I think it is. You've got 2 pages open.
Is it because I'm lagging?
Evening,
Is it
Sheriff.
lagging,
Good to
Carl?
see you.
You're lagging really bad.
Sheriff's in as well.
I'll jump off and I'll just go and chat. I'll go to the studio and I'll just go into chat then. Because it seems to be trying to catch up because I've just joined you. I'm in a nice wee buzz actually. You'll not often find me with alcohol in me.
I think she's got another chat open and she's like
That's
catching
bad.
up on what we've said.
I think she's got the 2. She's
I don't
got
even know
the.
these Ross Davies are talking
She's got the.
children.
She's got the YouTube up in one, and she's
Alright.
got the StreamYard up in the other.
Yeah.
hmm
I feel as if I'm in an alternative universe.
hmm
No. It's all you talking at once. It was champagne, not wine.
Well, it's my birthday on Sunday. I'm going to be 31.
Is that what it is because of the minis?
31? I thought you were
I'll tell you
younger
what,
than
I'm just
that.
going to jump out in the studio and I'll talk to everybody in chat.
31.
Right,
I'm really
catch you in a
young.
bit.
Okay, Drew, take
Yeah,
care.
Drew.
Bye.
I should too many windows open there, I think.
Yeah.
She'd add up to me. I think she had YouTube open in one, and then she had StreamYards open in another one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where she was.
I think that's what I had. I think Lewis had it open on one of you guys talking, and then he went onto the StreamYard, and then they were like playing each other back. Because it's not instantaneous. What's said on here doesn't play straight away on the chat. There is a delay. Because when I hear like you and Lewis doing it, there is a delay between what you're saying to how when it comes on to me.
It depends on how fast your internet is. I mean, I'm no using my laptop tonight. My laptop's turned off, so it's no the wire connection. I'm just using my 4G on my phone.
Wow.
And it's fine. But if you're wired, it is better. Sarah, you're wired now, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
It does make a difference. See, when you're wired, it makes a big difference.
I mean, we're wired on the computer, but like iPads and laptops, we're not wired. We're just Wi-Fi. But we're quite lucky today that the signals lasted, because gosh, it's been really bad. It's been really bad.
I was just
Thanks, buddy.
reading.
Birthday wish.
I was just reading one of Luna's comments there. 15th through 18th century, there was less than 500 executions of witches. But to me, that's a lot. Luna, I think as time went on, I did it there. I think as time went on through the centuries, people began to realise, that witchcraft wasn't, like in maybe in the 17th century, they realised that witchcraft wasn't the same as they thought it was back in the 15th century. So as time evolved, I think people's minds and understanding evolved, and that's how the executions. 500 is still a lot,
What's that famous ghost story? Was it Salem? Sorry, Scott. What's that famous ghost story for Salem? Is it the Bell Witch? Okay, I'm talking about. You never heard about
that? Was it? No, that was. I don't think that was Salem.
Was
the Bell Witch.
No, where was that? New England somewhere, was it not? Lunar, where was the Bell Witch? Was it New England? I can't look it up on my phone because I'm using this, and you can't do that. So.
That's not a problem, Luna. That's not a problem. Just the Bell Witch story. That's I know I've seen the film, etc. As far as Donald Sutherland, it was in the film.
Aye.
I can't remember. Maybe Lunar Sheriff Oracle could probably tell us more about the Bell Witch. Luna can't come on just now. Maybe Sheriff wants to come on, or Oracle wants to come in. And
Lunar's just asked, what did you ask, Chris? Asked, where was the Bell Witch? Was it in Salem or was it in New England somewhere? I can't remember. Because that's an interesting story, that.
That's got me thinking of the Bell Witch. I've seen the film as well, as I said, but I can't remember.
Oh, there's two films. There's two Bell Witch films. There's a modern one and then there's an old one.
What name?
Southern Tennessee, Dobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Dobby.
Actually, you get to that for 11.
Was that not similar to the Blair Witch?
And turn the bedroom light off.
The Blair Witch. There was two Blair Witch movies, weren't there?
The
first one was alright. The second one was shite.
The second one was they ended up in the house or something. That was a bit.
Aye.
Do you know that program? Charmed, with the three witches.
Yeah.
that's an old. Aye.
Do you think that? Okay, I know that that's just a film; it's not real. But do you think that sort of stuff is real? Like what they can do and stuff. If you've watched it, that they've all got like special
I'll let
powers.
Claire or somebody else answer that because I don't have a clue. I'll be honest, I don't have a clue.
Nearly, I haven't even got to answer what the witches in the chat.
We've got a few witches in the chat that I'm sure will be able to help you out with that one, Mandy. Not a problem.
I have watched it, yeah. I think some of it possibly could be kind of real, but I think some of it is a bit far-fetched.
No.
One thing that got me about it was they were always fighting demons or some kind of monster every episode, but they were always dead clean after it,
Buffy
all
the
dead shiny,
Vampire Slayer.
perfect hair and makeup,
Yeah.
even after they'd fought 10 demons. That's all I can say on it, you know. So, but as I say, there's a few witches in the chat. Ghost Ramble saying we all have our own ability. I'm sure one of them will be able to answer your query, shall we say. Lunar saying Blair Witch is based on fabrication. It was made up.
It's.
Yeah.
I don't think there is things like that. Obviously, there's spirits and stuff like that, but it's the same with Harry Potter and that. I've had folks saying to me, because I do the ghost stuff, have you ever seen anything for Harry Potter? And I just look at them and I say, are you mad? Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say? It's that obviously they've got mystical powers that can, like telling your fortune and telling if your loved ones on the other side and that. But I don't think they flee about a broom at night, can't I mean?
Ghost Rambles is here. She's a Welsh witch. Ghost Rambles is a Welsh witch, so I don't know if she can maybe help you out in that one, Mandy. Well, it's an actually an American thing, isn't it? I really don't know. I don't know. I think I'm digging myself a hole here again, so I'll shush for a minute.
But you know, like what's the other lady? The lady that does the live seminars and she pulls spirits in. Oh, what is her name?
You talking about Drew's paranormal vlog?
No, she goes on TV and there's like an audience, and then she attracts people to.
You talking about the Long Island medium? Her with the funny hairdo?
Blonde lady.
She is blonde. She's American. And she's for the Long Island medium, she's called, for New York State. And she's a psychic medium. Well, she says she's a psychic medium. She contacts the dead for the relatives. What's her name? Well, it's just Long Island medium. I don't know her first name. What is her first name, Scott? You can.
I think it's a weird name. I know the one you're talking, because I've watched her a couple of times on
She's got an
YouTube.
Italian name or something.
Oh, it's not her. No, not her.
What country is she from? She's British American. What country is she from?
She's American.
Oh.
No, she's American. She's an American accent.
I am asking Mandy what the one she's talking about, because she says
Long
Island
medium. Sorry.
No, sorry.
Ghost Ram was saying it's all about your ability. We don't use brooms, though. We have them, though. There you go. There's Ghost Ram was saying they have brooms.
What was that, Amanda?
It's something Sally. I can't remember.
Sally
Buxton.
Oh,
no, that's a wee mad woman that does all this.
She literally goes into like a big arena with people. Hang on. Let me ask Lewis because he knows. Hang on.
The sheriff's saying it was supposedly on our local edge. I tell you, Sheriff, you're talking about the Bell Witch. Was that not based on a true story?
Aye.
Sheriff, you want to come into the chat? The link's there. Feel welcome to come in.
Sheriff, I've never met Sheriff in the flesh before, you know.
Any input is very welcome. Same as anybody else in the chat if you want to come in. I don't know how many the chat can take, mind you. That's Sage's
8
department.
seemingly. I was told it can take up to 8 now. 8.
I'm
So
still.
sorry. It's Sally Morgan. Have you heard of her before?
No. No.
So Sally Morgan is a spirit medium, and what she used to do is she used to like go into arenas, and people would come and watch her, and she would like pull people out. Well, not pull them out, but she'd start getting names, and she'd get messages, and she'd be like, "I can feel a Scot. I can feel a Scot. He used to love." Whatever, and then someone in the audience would start to relate to that, and then they'd come and they'd talk about it. And...
She's a platform medium.
Can I tell you?
I think that's what I mean.
Go on.
Hello.
I said the weirdest thing that's happened to me in the kitchen. Yeah, I've got the deep fat fryer out, and you know the handle for deep fat fryer. Some of them you like clip on that. Well, the one we've got, it clips to these little metal pegs, and you've got to really force the handle, and then it locks itself in. It's almost like there's no other way of doing it, and once you've done it, it's done. You can't mess it up. It's either you don't put it on, or it just goes on. Anyway, I'm like, I go to pick up the fryer thing, and the blooming handles come loose. I'm like, what?
What's that got to do with anything?
No, because you know when the handle clips down. It's almost like someone's disconnected it off the handle and just like left it loose. It's impossible.
Your house will be known as the chip fat.
It's impossible. What does that happen? It's actually impossible. I swear to God, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me making a mistake because I know I pulled it down and clipped it in because I got grease on my left finger and I went like that.
Okay.
It's just mad. It's a spirit.
See, the thing about psychic mediums doing that in a stadium, right? This is the only thing. You look at Derek at Cora, God rest his soul, whatever he is, right? But you get mediums that are not really mediums. They're using this as a... You know what I'm talking about, Scott, didn't you? You think about it. Cold reading. Is it not called cold reading? You think about it. If you've got a stadium full of people and you stand in that says, oh, I've got an old man and he died of a heart condition. Somebody guaranteed in that audience is going to have somebody that died of a heart condition. When you go, Scott, sorry.
Most of they're called platform mediums. Man, yes. I mean, I don't know this Sally Morgan, Sally Bucks. I've never seen her, but the way you say she's a platform medium, and two, I'm not saying they're fake, don't get me wrong. There's two methods. A lot of them are, mind you. But there's two things that they most commonly do. One's called fishing, and what they'll do is they'll stand in front of the audience and they'll say, as Chris says, I've got somebody here died of a heart attack, and they'll be watching the audience for some kind of reaction for somebody in the audience, and when they get that reaction, they'll move over to, you see them moving over that side. And then they'll say something else, like he was a male, he was in his 60s, and they're constantly just throwing wee questions out and looking for bites, basically. That's why it's called fishing. Another method that they use is before the show, the audience will be asked to fill in wee questionnaire, wee card with their names, and they'll be told, oh, it's just for market research or whatever. But what they actually do is they've got a team of researchers backstage, and they'll go through these cards, and the medium has got an earpiece in, and they'll be feeding the medium names, dates, whatever information. So, that's two methods that these kind of they use, and they tend to get away with quite a wee bit.
Yep.
And I mean, I've seen the film? Medium.
You ever seen the film Red Lights with Robert De Niro? You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen that, Scott? Well, it's called Red Lights with Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro is meant to be this amazing psychic, can contact the dead. You need to watch it. It's called Red Lights. See him that was in 28 Days Later, the guy that walks out the hospital and everybody's a zombie. He's in it. He's one of the researchers, and that's what that Robert De Niro does. He gets researchers funds folk
It's
out.
quite a common thing.
Aye.
A
Watch
Yeah,
the
lot of
film,
them.
it's brilliant.
I've just Googled it, and Sally Morgan is the one I was meaning. It says that she is a psychic reader, and then the other Sally is a different medium, I suppose. So same sort of concept like what you're saying.
I'm just reading a comment from Sheriff there. The Bell Witch or Bell Witch haunting is legend from southern United States. Folklore centred on the 19th century Bell family of Northwest Robertson County, Tennessee. Farmer John Bell Sr. resided there. That's right. I remember seeing the film with his family along the Red River in an area currently near the town of Adams. I remember seeing one of the films, Sheriff. Thank you for that. Sorry, jump in, man. There was just a comment popped up. I was just having a wee.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Carry on.
Citizen says you can always tell the fakes from the real, as the real ones will never ask for any info up front.
Yes.
That's correct, Citizen. We don't ask. I've told Chris and saying that we're supposed to, I don't want to know anything if I go to a place, because if you don't have any information, then if you pick them, pick up on stuff that lets people know that you're authentic, that you're not just making it up. Anybody can say, oh, I've got an old man here with grey hair, but if you pick up stuff that you're bang on with, then asking for no information is it's the only way to be. As far as I'm concerned. Research section 2. I Scott talked about that recently. But no, that's what these mediums do, Mandy, especially the fake ones. I mean, you can go on to YouTube. I've watched some of them. I've watched a couple. We go on to YouTube and type in mediums exposed or fake mediums exposed.
I've seen them, aye.
Some of them are quite blatant in what they.
Oh, aye. Do you know what I used to do when I used to work in Sainsbury's? I used to guess people what number they were thinking and stuff like that, and or I'd tell them to think of a number and I'd guess it, and then I started doing. I'd tell someone to think of their house, and then I'd tell them what colour car's outside the house, what make and model the car is. Then I'd say that their door number's this, the colour of their door, and then I'd vision this in my mind and going into their house, and I'd be able to locate their bedroom. I swear to God, and I'm not lying, I'm not chatting. Similar to how you just pick up on things. It was almost like because I was asking them to think about it, maybe I was getting some kind of telekinesis or whatever you call it, not telekinesis, through their mind. But it would just come in my head. I'd be able to see it. I'd be able to vision it, even though I've never been to that person's house.
I know what you mean.
I can't do it no more. I've lost the ability.
As we lose a few weeks ago, I think it was the first time I was on Saturday night. I was saying about when the phone used to ring when I was younger, obviously before mobile phones, and I would know who was on the phone before I answered it, and I knew when somebody was going to say something. And sometimes, as I says that night, maybe I knew my ex was going to say, "You want a Chinese?" But I would sometimes just freak her out and say to her, "No, I don't fancy a Chinese," before she'd said that, just for a laugh, just to get a reaction out of her. She used to look at me and think, "How do you know I was going to ask her a Chinese?" But I know what you mean about it. It just hits you and pops right into your head. You know what I mean?
It don't happen to me no more. I had to tap out of it because it was getting a lot to take on. I just kept getting spiritual attacks, but I just feeling random things it wasn't. You have to be able to switch off, But I'm going back to cook.
Have you ever heard of a psychic called James Van Prague? Has anyone ever heard of it? No, he's a famous American medium. Have you heard of him?
Nah.
No.
Right. This was they went to his house in America for an interview, right? And the guy sat down. The TV presenter, it was like CNN or something like that, and or CNBC, something like that. And he went like that. He said, tell him more about his dead relative that had died and how he loves him and all that. Some woman in his family had died, but he knew that he was coming, right? And it had been on Facebook and all that about his relative that had died. And he says, I tell you what, he says, why don't we go for a walk, James? He says, right. So they're walking along the front. He lives in like the California coast, beautiful. Obviously, he's a millionaire because he pay a lot of money to see him. And he says, the guy for the TV guy went like this. He says, I tell you what, he walked out to a guy, says, tell me about their family. He couldn't do it. So he's taking me to this guy. He couldn't do it. He take me to the other guy. He couldn't do it. No, he says it's because his energy was low and all that, but as you say, I think he could do the guy that was interviewing him, but the simple reason is it was his father-in-law had died a couple of weeks later, and it was all over his Facebook account. He tell him everything about him.
That's where he's got the info.
But when they were walking along, and when they were walking along the beach, he says, excuse me, there was two people walking past. He says, do you want a reading? And that James Van Prague went, oh no, I can't do it. My psychic energies are low. He wouldn't do it. Refused point blank to do it.
Well, see, I've never had that. I just, I don't know if it's psychic energy, etc. But I mean, as you know, Chris, you've been out with me a few times, and so's Drew and Sarah and what have you, and it just
you picked up
in, you just see it. It's just, as I've said many times, what a mental photograph. You see a photograph in your head, and you're just saying, like, this is what I can see. And some people say you're a medium, but as I say, I don't class myself as a medium. I just do what I do. And, you know, it's hard to describe it. I'm just going through some of the comments as well here. Ghostbusters. Sorry. Ghost Ramblers. Sorry, Ghost Ramblers. Ghostbusters. Saying that Ghost Adventures did an investigation and the Bell Witch. Gareth saying, Ghost Ramblers, I don't believe anything they do. I use info from the locals around the area that the legends are from to determine if true or not. Ghost Ramblers saying, I believe we all have the capability to read minds at the same time. Most lose it. Some don't. All depends on whether it's your path. No, that's right, Ghost Ramblers. You know, we all have that gift, that capability, but a lot of people tend to ignore it, and it kind of fades through time because they just put it out of their minds. So you're right. You know, it's whether they choose to follow. See, I had the capability for about a couple of years before I actually done anything about it. I know that I knew it was there, but I just kind of threw it to the back of my mind. And so no, you're right. They will lose it if you don't. It's the old saying: use it or lose it. You know. Have you ever heard of people having near-death experiences, but when they come back, they can see spirits? Have you ever heard of that?
Before you answer that, sorry, I'm just going to jump off the stream because I'm going to have my dinner. Oh. But thanks for having me on. But I'm going to keep watching you. But thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Hope your tooth gets better.
Good luck tomorrow. With it.
Bye.
Bye.
As I was saying about the near-death experiences, people that have died but come back, some of them can see dead people. I've heard about it.
I'm not an expert on it, but I would imagine. Now this is just my opinion. Obviously, it's my opinion. Anybody who's watching, feel free to put your comment. If you agree or disagree, whatever. I think when you get a near-death experience, and you come back, then the experiences put you more in touch with your spiritual side. It gives you a kind of awakening, so to speak. So when you do come back, you are more attuned to what's going on about you, spirit-wise. If that makes sense. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that one. But that's just. But I would imagine it puts you more in tune. It gives you a kind of kickstart, to notice what's going on about you spirit-wise, because you've near enough been there and came back again.
Right, Scott, can
I'm
we
just-
jump back to the ghost eventual thing, please?
I'm just reading the comments now. Yes, I agree. Used to love them and not so much anymore. See, I used to watch Ghost Adventures, not so much now. Citizen had said, well, I'll find it again. They get caught faking the flying brick. I've never seen that one, Citizen, so I don't know. I can't comment.
I seen what happened. The brick levitated off the ground and then get chucked at them. You actually see it happening. I don't know how you could fake that. Though. I mean, in the video, you see the brick lifting up and getting flung. And even before Ghost Adventures went to that, but it was after that. A camera crew had went there a couple of months later for some news channel, and something happened to some of them. They actually got some EVPs back. I'll tell you who was with them after the investigation with the Ghost Adventures at the place where the brick got thrown. I think it was, I can't remember what news station it was an American one. And see the famous EVP people, the man killed his wife, that Constantino, you know who I'm talking about? Debbie Constantino.
They were on Ghost Adventures, weren't they?
Aye, well, they went with the camera crew, the news crew, and they actually got EVPs back. I don't know if they faked it or not, I don't know, I wasn't there. But then that guy went nutty and killed his wife and the other woman. So, I don't know.
I'm just going through the comments about the.
I keep going
Nick
back.
Croft, that's the reason, Nick. I know Nick Sheriff. I know Nick Croft left me. He started up Paranormal Lockdown with
and Paranormal State. The shot, the Paranormal State. He's in the series Paranormal State now.
Is in that as well. Katrina Weldman. I think the girl. He did that. So I think Ghost Ramblers. I keep saying your name. You have to work on your skills to grow. You do. You have to study. You have to. That's why I have to do Ghost Ramblers, and you do have to work on it to develop it and evolve it. Where the clips are closer to death, the more you know, and my words are away to it. I tell you, I do apologise. Closer to death, the more you know, see and feel. But as you know, we are also born with it. Yeah, but to get back, seriously, to the Ghost Adventures thing. I used to watch it, but then I kind of fell away from it because some of it just got too bizarre for me. You know, some of the stuff that was happening, and I mean, no offence to them. I know Nick Croft, he left and went on to do other things. I don't know what other people's thoughts on it are. And in a circle meeting once, here's keys jingling, wasn't sure. It was really a lot of. Dobby was in the.
And there's Shrimp Shark saying about the Constantinos. What happened to the Constantinos was it was in Nevada, I think it was in what do you call that? What's that famous city? Or what is it? People gamble there. What is it called?
Las Vegas.
Aye, that's at Las Vegas. And he locked himself in a motel room with his wife and I think her, would you call it, like a sister-in-law or a sister? I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, he turned the gun on them, killed both of them, then shot himself in the head. And that was a paranormal researcher.
I remember seeing them. Shrimp Shack Vegas, baby. I remember seeing them. There's a lot of these ghost shows. I think one week what we'll do is one of the subjects we'll cover is, as I say, the ghost shows. You know, where you think they're real or fake.
Most Haunted's fake. You ever seen Most Haunted? Most Haunted is definitely fake.
They've shot themselves so many times.
You think for all the times they've done all these shows, they get used to ghosts, but no, that woman, she screams if she sees the slightest thing.
There's Nicole Pank. Sorry if I get this wrong. Nicole Pankin. I think I've got that right. So, I was most haunted. I mean, you know, there's they've been at it for over a decade now, and they still, as soon as they see or hear a noise, they run away screaming. Now, you know, if you're going hunting for ghosts, you don't run away from them. I always remember Billy Connolly slagged them off, and I do apologise if this causes offence, but I remember one scene with Billy Connolly saying, he was talking about ghosts and that, and he says, Ghost Haunted, he says they've got infrared cameras, they've got monitors, they've got blah, blah, he says they've got everything except an effing ghost. And that, you know, that nailed me, that one. I thought that was really funny. Sorry, Sarah?
They've been on the go for 2002.
About 18 years, you know, I mean...
Think of the money they've made.
Oh, millions. The lot of them. Well, that's why you get Keanu Keith and the historian. What's an historian? I don't know what an historian is. He does quite a few documentaries. No guy with black hair. If anybody can remember his name, Richard Felix. He left as well, and I think David Wells left because they've been through. I like David Wells in it. He was. I felt he was genuine. But they've been through quite a few people left, but they never tell you why they leave. You know. I think Richard Felix is our fault. Keanu Keith left because he caught them faking it, basically. Derek Acora, he had a big fallout with a vet for some reason. A vet says that they found out he was a fake. But whether that's true or not, you know, everybody knows. Since he's seen a personal David Bowman and been on panel when he was saying when Ghost Revenge was filmed, they got him to do fake things for camera. You know, well, you see that's why there's one. I'm not going to name it, but I like these ghost shows that turn. If they get nothing, they still put the episode out. You know, they don't cancel the episode. They still film it and they put the episode out, and not you see what they've done. They'll say, look, we get nothing, and I prefer it that way. Whereas, like Most Haunted and stones getting thrown, and we were saying that Ghost Adventures does the same thing.
You think about it, Scott. You think about, right, I've got a video footage, nothing happening in the graveyard. Oh, but then I've got video footage. Let's fake it. Say, poltergeists and demons chasing you about the graveyard. What one's got to get more views on TV? What one's got to make more money?
That's it. It sells things. I was just reading a comment from Dobie there, David Wellsman from Sanker. Sanker's just out about 15, 20 minutes away from us. I didn't know I like David Wells. I didn't know he was from Sanker. That's not far from us. Goes around with saying that's why it's better to do it yourself and see what you get in contact with. Yep. Yeah, you know there's nothing fake, but as you say, I mean, we've been out quite a few times and we've got nothing. And it'd be easy for me to say to Sarah or Drew, you know, especially when it's dark, look, going to stand behind me and throw a stone and hit it off, aim it at a gravestone, you know, something like that off a camera. But if you're going to fake it, then don't do it. There's no point. It gives the paranormal community a bad name as well.
Well, listen, guys, I'm going to head now because I need to be up early tomorrow. I've got stuff I need to do tomorrow. But I'll be live tomorrow night if you two of you want to come in.
No problem. So, I think we'll be winding it up. We that's
So
true.
I'll see you on Thursday anyway, even if you don't come on the morning night. But I'll hear for you. I'll talk to you in the chat thing we've got. Catch you later, Sarah. Catch you later, Scott. See everybody in the chat.
Mind the farmer violence and stop in the morning. Bye.
See you.
Dobby Socks saying, next village to wait. Dobby's fair. I don't know. Dobby's fair, Shire originally. I think she told us that the other night, actually, to be honest.
You that the other day.
I didn't know he was fair. That's a surprise. But we've been on for, I think we're going to wind up. That's 2.25 hours.
I'm trying to get Andrea to come on first.
Oh, right. If anybody wants to jump on the chat, folks, and feel free to come in.
Yes, feel free.
Ghost Ram saying, yes, sometimes I still enjoy it, though. Don't see the point in faking it. Just happy people enjoy watching. Yep, Ghost Ramblers, there's no point in faking it, because it just, if you're going to, as I just said, you're going to fake it, why do it? And if you fake it and you get caught faking it, then it puts a whole umbrella over the whole paranormal community, and it puts a shadow on what we do. I mean, you know yourself, Ghost Ramblers, and everybody else is watching different teams. You spend a lot of time looking for locations and going out and filming and stuff and editing and doing all your bits and pieces for YouTube or, you know, Facebook, whatever. And so it does take up a lot of your time. It's not just an hour or 2 hour job. So, and you go without sleep sometimes. We done that investigation in Edinburgh. We were in Edinburgh till about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you get these people who just go out and do something daft, fake it, and, you know, people say, oh no, they're all fake. They hear, or if they hear you're a paranormal investigator, they say, oh, you guys are all fake. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just unfortunately, there's a saying for it, but I can't remember what it is. One bad apple spoils a batch or something. So I totally get it. That's why I hate faking it. Rather, that's why I hate people. We don't fake. That's why I hate people that fake it. That's what I mean. Is Dobby is thingy going to come in?
I've mailed her.
But like to, even though we're only on, Parapol's only on one night a week, you know, still feel free. If you say, you know, feel free to leave your comments at any time. You know, after it's finished, doesn't matter. It can be a day, it can be a week, whatever. Any suggestions you've got for any other stuff we're going to, you want to see on? I think we should do one. You let us know your opinion. I think we should do one on these ghost shows as well.
But
see
also,
what your general opinion is.
Also, Scott, shut up. We're also going to be doing. Hang on a minute. We're also going to be doing the version of Parapol as well. We'll just try to get that organised, and the first topic will be either Mary Queen of Scots or Henry VIII. Whatever one you want us to start with. There you go, you can talk again.
I was just saying to people with an idea for us to do one in fake ghost shows. That was it.
No, you can speak again, Scott.
Dobby Sock said, thank you for tonight, Scott and Sarah. It's been very interesting. Thank you for coming along, Dobby. It's always good to see you, talk to you. Ghost Ram was saying, it's exciting to me your paranormal activity happening. It's a lot of hard work to putting together episodes, pages, working and running a house. That's how much I love the spooky life. Just quite spooky. Ghost Ramblers, yes. She lives for the spookiness. But no, you're right, Ghost Ramblers. It does take a lot of your time. and then especially if you maybe get work and you're running a house as well. So I think that's one of the reasons that it kind of annoys me when these people fake it and give us all a bad name. We were at lockdown yesterday. We met an elderly. Well, Sarah will tell you about him. She was talking to him more than me. We met an elderly gentleman. Luna's still here. Good stuff. I'll shut up and let you tell about the guy we met yesterday.
All right, so we met a wee. And he was basically just saying about the fact that he loves watching all the paranormal teams, but he prefers the independent teams to the big teams as the West. Scott, have you shrunk? Citizen can only see top of the face.
No, I'm still my usual 3'7". I'm still here.
You just get put on mute because you're saying that. So I'm going to just mute you in future.
That's fine. That's fine. No, I've not shrunk, citizens. I'm still 3'7", my usual height. I mean, no any good for climbing over high walls. Just wee walls. That's it. Let's see the.
If anybody wants to jump
that
on,
was funny. I'm just reading Paranormal History's comment. Thanks for joining us, Ghost Ramblers. We'll talk to you soon. You take care, and if you're out ghost hunting, and stay safe. Thanks for coming along.
I'm waiting to get back to do it.
Guys, let us know if there's anything you'd like to see. So we're hoping to get down to lockdown this weekend for a weekend camp out, a full weekend investigation, and we'll be doing lives from there as well, depending on the internet reception. I know yesterday Sarah's kept coming and going, depending just whereabouts we were standing, really. But we'll be doing as many lives as possible. We'll also be recording a lot of it as well and putting up on YouTube, etc. I don't know what Sarah's doing with her.
I don't know, but there's now 2 of me, so I'll remove one of them.
One's enough.
I don't know what I've done. I'm still fairly new to this.
Well, we're recording everything anyway, so if we can't manage to do any lives, it will all be going up on Facebook and YouTube as well. So, Dobie or Sheriff or Oracle, how you're back to the witches? How do you think the Pendle Hill ones do compared to Salem? Do you think they were along the same lines, maybe, or the interrogators in Salem have more brutal ways, or are torturing or getting confessions, or the same ways, or
I think Luna answered that and said that she thinks that Salem is more brutal. I might be wrong. I'm trying to find the comment.
If you've already answered it, Luna, my apologies. I've never seen that comment. Aveline says she feels tall now. I'm not really 3'7". Citizen, yeah, we were looking at a couple of weeks ago. We were looking at Sonny Bean's cave down just south of Girvan, and we were going to do an investigation there. But I looked it up and I was watching stuff on YouTube about it, and it's getting down to it. That's the access problem. I mean, as you all know, Sarah's disabled as well, so getting access into it is not really too feasible. But there is one up in Glasgow. I'm trying to. I seen it the other day and I've made a note of it somewhere. It's a cave or some kind of tunnel. It goes underneath a canal. There's a few things happened there, so we're thinking of getting up there and having a wee look at that one. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. If you want to come back in, Citizen, have you done any caves or whatever, then come back in and tell us about it.
I've just said that, and I promise I won't kick you this time. Actually,
I think investigating caves would be quite good. I think it would be quite interesting. But see, Sonny Bean, I was really wanting to do Sonny Bean because of the background to it, because of the story. I think that would be a real bit. Access was just not feasible at all, so we had to shelf that one. Let's go through comments again. So I can hear. I didn't realise there was so many places. I mean, I'm from Glasgow originally, and I didn't realise there were so many places in Glasgow we could go investigating. There's Citizen back. Welcome back.
I won't kick you. I promise. I promise I won't kick you.
I don't know if he's there or not.
No, I've never actually investigated caves myself, but I know in Edinburgh there is abandoned railway stations and there's a war bunker as well.
The railway station, is that? I might be wrong here, but is that no underneath Waverley Station or about that area?
No, it's up by the Botanic Gardens.
I watched a YouTube the other week there about an abandoned railway station.
Botanic Gardens.
Is that what it was? What am I thinking? Oh, you know, I'm thinking of Glasgow Central. There's meant to be a station under that. I'm getting the two mixed up. There's one in Glasgow. I seen that one. How easy is that to get into?
It's really easy. Well, I'm like about half an hour away from it.
So you're not breaking any laws or trespassing or?
No. There's actually a little sneaky back way in, but you have to go through the gardens to get in it, though.
As long as, because the last time we wanted to do is end up doing a wee overnight at Her Majesty's pleasure.
No, I always get permission or before I even go into places investigate.
So is it known to be active then?
Well, yeah. There's meant to be quite a lot of stories about it, and I think somebody's actually chucked herself at the top down.
Right. We could look into that one because somebody was saying earlier on that the was it shrimp track, I think was saying earlier on. They loves all the Edinburgh stuff, so says we're planning doing. Well, I think everybody loves Edinburgh, but I think that's, you know, it's a place that there's just that many locations in it. You never get fed up going.
Well, so that's I might try and look for new places in Edinburgh because anybody that says paranormal, there's some investigator been there. There has to be someone that's not been investigated yet where the paranormal is.
Oh, there has to be. There's definitely places out there still to be looked into and investigated and explored. You know, I think that's why we drive about so much, looking for places in sort of like Ayrshire, around about Glasgow, etc. And then we always, you know, we'll have a wee look on YouTube to see if anybody's done it. You know, if we find somewhere, we'll put it into YouTube just to see if somebody's done it. If somebody's done it, then, you know, there's no point in going back. Unlike Greyfriars, and that doesn't matter how many times you get back to Greyfriars. It's a place you never ever get fed up going to. Same as the Royal Mile.
I want to keep going back and try and catch more.
Have you ever done Canongate?
I haven't, no.
You never. We've been in Canongate twice, and the last time was quite an eerie. Sarah will tell you, I was away doing a walk round. Sarah was sitting at the gate. Sarah will tell you how she felt.
Well, to start with, I was sitting at the David Ritual grave. Well, the grave that's meant to be his, they're not 100% sure, but that's where he's rumoured to be. That was the secretary to Mary Queen of Scots, in case anyone didn't know. And I seen a shadow walking, as if somebody was walking behind me, but there was nobody near me, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I got up and then I went and stood in front of the kirk, and I just got a total washed out feeling over me, basically, that I felt that I had to leave, otherwise something was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just upped and left. No, I stood there the first time we went there, I was standing there myself for a good 20 minutes, and I was totally fine, but the last time it just felt totally different, and I thought, no, I'm off.
Yeah.
So I put a quick live up.
So your system was telling you to be wary of that area.
A quick walk round, but we were. Aye. Oh, it was totally. It was. I've never felt anything like that before my whole entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Scott go all over the place, and that was just. Honestly, it was murder, and then it didn't help the fact that we went to Greyfriars straight after it, and I felt as if somebody was standing right in front of me. But then every time Scott moved away from me, no, when Scott came in front of me even, the feeling of warmth totally disappeared. And then when he left, it came back. It was a weird night.
Mm-hmm.
But that was in the same area, citizen, as you got that photograph, and it was, as I said earlier on, it was the same.
Mm-hmm.
It was just in front of the Mackenzie tomb.
But it wasn't at the church side. It was. I'll get the picture up of where it was.
It was just right in front of the Mackenzie tomb.
But citizens caught this thing next to the big tomb, next to the big graves at the church, wasn't it, citizens?
Yeah.
Whereas
Even
was
to make sure it wasn't like somebody peeking out. And I tried it when I was at the last time I was at Greyfriars, and I wasn't as fast enough in that. It was like somebody was fast forward and that person coming out and going back in.
Mhm. Well, where I felt funny was I've got too many pictures in this laptop. A second, guys. I've got all the pictures for the castle yesterday and stuff. I'll get there eventually.
I think I've got some Harry Potter fans now. Since I caught that, somebody's asked me, did I catch Voldemort?
There's quite a few graves in the Greyfriars that have to do with that J.K. Rowling got her inspiration, and see also St. George, that school that sits behind it. That's where she got the inspiration for Hogwarts from.
Yeah. I think she made up the story when she was at a cafe in Edinburgh, if I remember right.
The elephant. Is it the Elephant Cafe?
Yeah.
I might say it's the Elephant Cafe.
Stories that came from Edinburgh to make movies. I mean, even the Scrooge film, there was actually, I don't think it was a Kirk way, but there was somebody called it was called Scrooged, and it was based on his.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look, that's the grave there that I felt that I was standing at.
Mm-hmm.
When I felt something behind me.
And that's the headstone that I caught that figure coming in and out behind that, the big long stick up one. No, on the right hand side there, behind this that one, yeah.
Yeah. Well, see how I messaged you and said the light was coming, the I seen was coming to down there because there's a lamppost just as you walk in.
Yep.
So that's what obviously I thought the light was.
Well, the figure that I caught next to it, I debunked that myself, because when I was doing that debunking, I actually noticed my camera was shining off one of the church windows to make that, but I still could not debunk that figure.
See, I don't know about the figure, but like I said, the light, the two lights, obviously that's obviously where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of general area, because there's a lamppost, I'm sure it's either just as you come in the gate or it's just behind the gate.
There's one actually before the gate, and there's one near the front of the church. There's because one of the lights automatically come on as well.
Because I was looking through, when I was looking at your video, I was also looking at the pictures that we've got for Greyfriars so that I could place exactly where it was in your video to exactly like what was there. And that's obviously where I'd seen all it was obviously the lights.
Yeah. It's quite a good picture you sent me. It did look like a face, but it was too far low down.
So that's where I got the mail, just where that gravestone is, just over towards, no right where Citizen got the photograph, but over that, just towards that area.
Yeah.
Well, see the face I sent you, Citizen, that was quite, that when I found that on your video, that wasn't at the bottom of that stone, that was quite high up.
Ah, right. It looked kind of low down when it was actually on the picture, and I thought, it wasn't that low, I can't remember.
It's because I zoomed it right in.
Right, I get you now.
But it's actually, I think I've got it on my phone actually, my laptop even, the actual picture, but it's actually quite far up. I can't think that I've got that much stuff, that many pictures and what have you. But no, it was quite far up. It wasn't as low down as it looks. It just looks further down in that picture because it zoomed right in.
Well, it's one of the reasons that I know it definitely wasn't a light, and that was when I turned and I stopped I didn't move the camera for a brief second, but you seen the figure going in the way, so there's no way a light could move if I wasn't moving at the same time. That's what was kind of sticking in my head about it.
See, it's strange what you pick up. Like I said, the pictures I sent you yesterday, the wee faces, they were just totally. There's no way I can debunk them whatsoever.
Is that the one on the wall?
No, not the one on the wall. These two. Wait, I'll show you. The one on the wall.
This is what I was telling investigators when starting. When they take pictures, you've got to mind how your brain works. When you picture and your mind sees a picture, if it doesn't recognise anything, your mind will pick it up as an image that you'll see.
There's the picture that we're talking about. If MD in the chat wants to give us your views, I know we put that up the other night, but just as we're talking about it. But there was nothing there before I took that picture.
Yep.
It's the same with the other one that I've got.
One of the plague victims as well.
What, sorry?
Do you think that could be one of the plague victims?
See, I don't know, because it looks... I think it either looks like a small child or a doll of some sort. But I'm sure it was yourself that said about the bottom jaw being missing.
I think that was that not Chris that said that?
I think that was Chris that said that.
Maybe it was. But I know somebody said about the bottom jaw. So I don't know. I think it's either a doll or a small child, only because obviously the size of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that the face does kind of look almost like a baby's face.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's the same with the other pictures as well. I catch that doll thing in particular. That's the first time I caught that one. I think. But this other picture. But this one, I'm still getting used to this sharing the screen and what have you. But that one there, I've captured that particular face quite a few times.
Yep.
Luna's saying that
So maybe it could be that spirit actually likes you going in there then. That's why it's basically showing itself to you if you've got it quite a few times.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, every time you do an investigation here, regardless if it's daytime, nighttime, whatever, I always take pictures of either side of Mackenzie's tomb. I don't know why I do it. I just do it. It's a kind of a ritual type of thing that I do. I always take pictures of both sides, and you sit in Greyfriars and you look at the pictures and you see nothing. But then the minute you step over that gate, that's when stuff appears.
Yeah.
as you say, you're saying this, I think the more you get back to the same location, yes, spirits do get, a lot of people sometimes say, how can a spirit remember because they've got no brain? But they remember their in their consciousness, for want of a better word. So the more you get back to the same location, the spirits do get familiar with you, and they can sense that, who's genuine, who's not. So it possibly is because we've been there, don't know how many times, the spirits do remember, and they say, well, she's back again. I remember her for, the last time ever.
I think the exact same myself, because I didn't actually catch that figure till about the 5th, 6th time actually going there.
I think that's how it's always important to keep going back. Luna's saying, Sarah, you might have to kick both of them.
Possibly.
She's saying that she's got a screenshot from Citizens. We caught one in a screenshot last night from his trip to cemetery.
I was just reading that about Mary. You've got to kick both of them. At least I'm up here, Mary.
Brain's not working out, spirit. Yep. Did you catch something last night, Citizen? A screenshot?
Try to think now. I definitely caught it sounded like a demonic voice up at the mic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the pictures unless Mary sent me other things.
Right, this picture, Citizen, I'm going to send you this picture on Messenger now, right? Because this picture is always baffled me in Scott, right?
Okay.
Because
Back 1 minute, folks.
When you look at it, you can't see to a distance, you can't see nothing, right? But when you zoom in on it, you can see at least, we picked up at least five faces the other day when we were looking at it.
Yeah, I just zoomed in. I can see what you're talking about. You can see like eyes and some of the nose and some bits.
But obviously, the more you zoom in, the more pixelated it gets. But if you look, see this picture. I get this picture way back last year. Way back last year. But if you look on take no down, the big massive stone that's got all the white on it. There's at least 4 faces in that one stone alone.
Just in that one?
Just in that one. Hello, Luna.
Hey. What was you smart buddy about? At least I'm up here.
See, you've got to persuade you to come up here.
What?
I've got to persuade you or dare you to come up.
Okay, whatever.
Hey, Luna.
Hi.
How's you?
I'm talking about the one that the hooded, whatever it is, standing by the tree from last night. You got all the pictures. You want me to show it?
Well, I've not got the actual one because I just went into your picture thing there and I've got about 20 at one time. So that means I would have to go through every one to try and get the right one.
Let me go find it and I'll show it. Okay? I can find it quick.
Now, somebody sent me a picture of Greyfriars as well, and one of them's weird. It kind of looks like a guy sitting down with a dog.
It wouldn't happen to be a wee terrier, would it?
It kind of looks like that, and I thought if I just cook,
See, there is a photograph.
Find us.
It was Greyfriars. I can't remember where I seen it, but it showed the image. It was a white image of a dog, and it looked like a wee Scottish Terrier.
mm-hmm.
I can't remember where I seen that, but I remember seeing it, and I was saying, "Is this proof that is this Greyfriars Bobby's ghost or something like that?" It was only last week or the week before I seen it. I can't remember. That's going to annoy me now where I seen it, but I definitely seen it. It was a white outline of a dog. But you know, I do believe the dog's still kicking about, because that's where his master's buried. He's buried down at the far end. So,
But isn't it? That's not his master, though, is it? Really?
That was his owner.
No, it wasn't
John.
really his owner. It was the owner. It was actually because the dog kept on following him everywhere. And when he came to Edinburgh, the dog followed him to Edinburgh. It wasn't actually the owner. It was the girl, the little lassie. It was the actual owner to Bobby.
But he was more attached to
the caretaker. I think that's what he was, or the worker. I think that's what he was.
But he was more attached to him. He was.
Yeah.
The dog was more. What I was going to say, he was more attached to the was it John Graham? The name John. I've got the name John Graham in my head for some reason.
See, the more I watched that film, the more I was getting in my head that the dog attached to him because the dog knew he was ill.
I'm not familiar with the story before he died. Basically, it's really after he died that I'm familiar with. But I've got the name John Graham in my head for some reason. I might be wrong, but that's.
Was it John Graham?
I think it was.
I'm sure it was. But I have been wrong in the past, and I dare say I'll be wrong again. So.
I will tell you.
But what's your thoughts, Citizen, on the Halloween investigation?
Well, I like the idea. It's just, I think it would be a lot better if we could try and get the graveyard to ourselves.
Or the whole place. See, I was thinking about that. Obviously, we need to pay for the prison, but because the graveyard's open all the time, I don't know how that. I don't think we would be allowed to, because realistically they'd need to shut the gates.
Well, they've done it before under the underground tunnels at Halloween before, but they were doing their own private little overnight thing. And they locked all the gates and everything, so nobody could come in or.
There's your photograph was up.
Sorry, it's right there.
About just near the top of the picture, I can see what looks like two eyes.
Right here. It's right there.
Yeah. I can see that.
And then I got another one where it moves. Hang on, let me get it.
I think it'd need to be the council you contact for that, with no Citizen.
Yeah.
I'll look into it. I'll look into it tomorrow. I'll send an email to Sick of the Dead.
I'm not too sure if they would do it though, because Halloween's their kind of most important night for them as well.
Aye, it's a big.
Here's the one where it's moved. It like it's back behind the tree now some, but it's there. It's right there. I'm not too sure there's not something right here, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'll tell you what I did notice is when you done the live, what night was it? Saturday night, Sunday night?
Trying to think now. It would have been Saturday, maybe Sunday. Sometimes I do them
When
every
you were
day.
when you were in the vault with the guy showed up,
Mhm.
I think I put a comment up. I could see there was a black. It looked like a black mass in front of the camera, just slightly going towards the left of the camera.
Right, yeah.
I think I put a comment up. I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times. It looked like some kind of black mist, black shadow sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
If you watch the footage back, then I don't know if you'll notice it or not, but I noticed it 2 or 3 times, right in front of the camera, just veering to the left, just slightly.
Mhm.
When you were inside that tomb.
Ah, nice.
Aveline's saying, I was John Gray. Thanks, Aveline. It was John Gray. That was right. So that's a bonus for me, really. But you should have a wee look back at that particular bit. It was sort of a time you guys showed up. But I did notice it. But I'll email.
I'm just wondering if that was my spirit protector. Because I do have ones.
Well, there was definitely something there. I don't know if Sarah's seen it or not, because she was watching it as well. I don't know if she noticed anything.
If you've seen a bit of it, because if I'm liking a certain bit of danger or something, it does seem to appear or...
It was definitely something.
I think Sarah's froze up there.
I think I heard her shouting that she froze up again. I don't know why she's so much, but she's in the living room. I don't know why she's so much bother. So, Luna, now we've got you on to the witch trials. How do you think Salem compares to Pendle Hill? You have any views on it?
Mary.
Sorry, I was discussing something with somebody. What? What? Sorry. Had to handle something.
What do you think about how Pendle Hill witch trials compared to Salem?
What I think that they compare to Salem, I think Salem. They they tortured them and burned them, and I mean, and from my understanding on the pendle witches, they were hung. They weren't.
They were all hung.
I think the others had.
Yeah, I need that.
But the American, the Salem interrogators, do they have the same kind of methods as the Pendle interrogators used, or do they have different kind of methods? Obviously, we had they had the Duncan in the river, the devil's teat, stuff like that. The chair is sitting was saying earlier on, the sleep deprivation, starvation, all that kind of stuff. Did they use the same kind of methods, do you know, or did they have other ways of getting confessions?
I know that they tortured the Salem witches for confessions and stuff to try to get them to confess. That they were cruel. I mean, from my understanding is they would starve them. They would pull their fingernails. This is stuff I've read. I mean, I don't know if you're 100% sure on all that. I mean, it's like anything that's been years ago. It could be true. We may just be reading something they've made up from that time. But from my understanding is they were very cruel to them. And they would just give in and say, yes, they were, just so it would end. So the torture would end. So the violence towards them would end. And they would just accept whatever fate it was and leave it at that. But some just went ahead and said, yeah, they were, I mean. But just my understanding on the pendle the Pendle witches is theirs was, you know, they went after them for using they were actually I can't say rivalries with another family. And they were fighting back and forth between themselves, and one turned in the other family, and so then it does turn themselves in. So not thinking, so then they both went down for it. Both families went down for it, and that's how that ended. But I mean, it's just stuff that I've read. I've read up about them and stuff. It's not something that I know to be 100% sure or not, or anything like that. I mean, you know.
Well, that's the same as me. I can only go by what I've read, and I've read the same as, you know, you've read about two rival families, and it kind of backfired on them, so to speak.
Right.
You see, they ended up. It was the ruin of both of them, both families, and it was they turned one turned against the other, just a competition. They thought that one family was doing better than them, so they thought, you know what, we're going to put you into the authorities, and so it did backfire. But I mean, you got Alice Nutter, she was associated with them, but she wasn't with them, if that makes sense. You know, she was accused by a young 9-year-old girl, so she was part of any. She came from a kind of well-to-do family, but because this young girl turned around and said that she had caused the death of a gentleman, and all the fingers pointed towards Alice, and then it was just, as I said earlier on, it was ironic that this young girl who had told these tales about Alice, who turned out was innocent, 20 years later, she ended up being tried and executed as a witch, the very same crime that she'd accused Alice of. So it was quite ironic. I don't know if you call that karma or not, maybe. But she ended up the same way.
Karma come back and bite you. I won't know that. I mean, witches, you know, the one thing I know is that what you do, what you put out in the universe, say like I was to do a spell or something, you know, there's always something that comes back to you. It may be minor, it may be major, it may be, so there's the possibility, you know, that it come back to bite her. You know, I mean, karma does that. I know that from my understanding on the reading of it, they were bickering families pretty good, and the women on the side was, on the one family, was mainly women. There was men involved too. That, I mean, even their children was marked as witches. I mean, which I think is sad, you know, but I mean, what's a child?
I think it's just the way back then that people looked upon it and what have you, and you know, obviously as time went on, people's minds evolved, for want of a better word, and they get a better understanding, and healers came, you know, kind of came out more, and I think people started thinking, wait a minute, maybe they're not witches, maybe they're healers, you know. So, and there was an awful lot of innocent women and men, children, all executed for nothing, basically. And it's a big dark patch on history, and here, and I dare say in America as well. And it's something that we wish we could wipe off the pages of history. Avalon saying Salem only lasted 15 months. That's just over a year. I'm not sure how long Pendle Hill went on. I think Pendle Hill was quite a quick one, quite a swift one. I think we're talking about days when it comes to Pendle Hill. I think they were taken care of quite fast. 15 months.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Scott.
No, carry on.
they were hung also. I mean, some was burned, some was hung. I mean, it's just over the countryside. I mean, it didn't just happen there, and it didn't just happen there where the pendle witches was done. I mean, this is happening all over. It's just not something that was widespread where, was talked about like them was, or recognized like them was. But I mean, even to this day, people don't understand. Like they think somebody's a witch and they automatically are voodoo, or they're black magic, or they're evil. Witches are not like that. A true witch is somebody who, I mean, I'm not saying there isn't that side of that. There is. But for the most part, witches are all about healing, helping people. They're more of kindness, and just in general, not harmful. They don't like to harm.
Yeah.
I'm not harmful. I'm not into hurting anything, any living thing at all. And as you want to get into voodoo or the evil side of witchcraft, which, there is a side to it, but for the most part, if you're considered a witch, they're mainly good. Now you have your satanic ones that went off the deep end, so I call it. But there's them. But I don't associate with none of that. I know about it, but I don't associate with it. So it's all in what your belief is and what you feel. It is a type of religion. It's not something. Wicca is a religion. There's a difference between Wicca and witch. There's a difference. Now, not a whole lot of difference, but there is a difference. There's a whole lot that it contains too, but I mean, for the most part,
I think people hear the word witch and they just automatically think, oh, evil, Satan, or that's as soon as they hear the word witch. I think obviously history's got a lot to do with it, media's got a lot to do with the way that they portray these kind of things.
right.
Shrimp Shack, there was a witch's prison, and I remember that Shrimp Shack. I remember watching a documentary in that witch's prison in Essex. I think there was investigations being done there as well, if I'm correct. It wasn't just Salem either, it went to surrounding towns. It's kind of, I was saying it spread out, basically.
That's her name is Beth, really. She's using her stepdaughter's. She actually come from Massachusetts, and she knows quite a bit about the Salem part of it. Probably
She's
more
local.
Citizen knows a lot about witches too. He just, some reason he muted. But he knows a lot.
Are you still there, Citizen?
He's there. He's just doing something, I'm sure.
But
he may be doing
after I heard somebody shouting, it's up the stairs, a house up the stairs, because I heard somebody shouting. I thought it was outside. It's not. It's up the stairs. But what do you think? What do you think? And Beth as well, Citizen, that witches get the bad reputation because basically what people's seen on, as I say, history and films, stuff like that. They're always portrayed as these evil women or men.
They're portrayed, yeah. I agree with that.
It's just the way they're being portrayed, so people just get this conception: if you're a witch, then you're out at, midnight dancing around a bonfire, or a big cauldron and eating children and stuff. I think fairy tales got a lot to do with it as well, possibly. The way they portray what.
I think it's all in what they portray them to be, or what. And some, I will have to say, some witches give witches a bad name. Did I say that right? It's a belief system. It's I was born into it. I mean, there's things that I know, like there's spells that I know and stuff that I don't even know how I know them. I just know them. I mean, it's like family born. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of like how we are. I can't explain that either. I just know I was born like that. That's all I can say. I mean, I really don't have any explanation for any of it. And I think it's how people perceive us to be, or how they think we should be. It's like they stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even with the paranormal, they do the same thing. I mean, or even being psychic like we are, they think that we lie, or that we're crazy, or that we're, believe me, it's come a long way from where it used to be. You didn't talk about it. It wasn't brought up. If you did, it was not normal for you to do that. But with us, now it's so, by us putting it out now, it's more accepting now than it used to be. It wasn't accepted. Not even 10 years ago, it wasn't accepted like it is now. So
it's his own. But I know you say you've got this ability and you don't know where it came from, but you've got it, and you can't explain it. You can't say, well, I got it here, or I got it, wherever. It's just there, and
right,
it's there, if that makes sense. And as I was saying earlier on, some people accept it. So as Ghost Ramblers was saying, some people have it and they just don't use it, and it fades away through time. Other people, like yourselves, choose to use it. If that makes sense. I hope you can understand me okay.
Oh, it makes sense. It makes 100% sense. I mean, I didn't use it. I didn't use it for years. I kept it secret till I was 43 years old. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want nobody to think I was crazy.
Well, so I was 2 years, roughly 2, possibly 3 years. It wasn't very long for me, and then I started going to Spiritualist Church and really looking into it and thinking, well, maybe I'm one of them. Maybe I'm, because it was a lot of little things would happen over that 2 or so years, and I accepted it and just to brush it off, just let it go. I think Sarah's getting annoyed by the cats.
I'm just building my internet wire out and everything. I think we're going to end the stream, guys, because I'm not getting 2 minutes peace with this kitten. He's driving me bonkers.
We'll wrap up. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for coming in. Mind, share your pages if you want, and Drew's Parallel Vlog, Luna Eclipse Paranormal, Citizen Z TV, Age of Darkness, Oracle and Beyond, Sheriff, Triptrack. Everyone mind give them a wee look up, subscribe to their channels, etc. And next week we'll probably do another live during the week. Next week we'll be back with another parapole. If you get any ideas, anything you'd like us to talk about, drop us a wee message, and we'll look into it. We'll certainly do as many as we can. Same as investigations. You want to, if there's any place over here you like to see investigated, like Luna, yourself, or Oracle, Beth, Sheriff, any places over here that you've always wanted to see investigated, then drop us a wee message, and we'll certainly look into doing it. But Luna, Citizen, Beth, everybody that came tonight, it's very much appreciated, and all stay safe. If anybody going live after us, let us know, and we'll certainly join in.
My face is live now.
Sorry?
I'm sure Oracle's is live right now.
I didn't know she went live, but anyway, I think he's going live sometime tonight, or said something about it anyway. I don't know.
He seems to have disappeared.
He's probably over hers, and I don't know. He's both places probably. But
well,
anyway,
Luna, if you're going live, we'll certainly join you, and if your Oracle's live now, we'll pop over there if you're going to join in. It'll be good to see you again.
If she's live, that's where I'm going. So
she has
right,
checked.
She what?
Right, that's fine. So we'll see you very, very shortly.
All right. See you then. Bye.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Clicked the wrong button, guys. Bye.